Yeah, thank you
Fatigue policy.
Thank you to Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Made my morning a lot better yesterday.
Moorhead got a nap.
So that's enough about that stupid stuff. We are here today with Roni Kappler. Roni, thank you for putting up those last 15 minutes. First of all, sorry
been a
about
pleasure.
that. But
Immediate
Immediate regrets.
Oh, it's like being at base.
so it's same thing, right?
It's
Yep,
good.
same thing.
What is like the atmosphere like, down at Wings when you guys are waiting to do what we do, right? Go respond to whatever you're called to.
I mean, a typical day is shift starts at 7, so we get there a little early. We do med crew does 24-hour shifts, so we go, we check our helicopter. That takes usually 30, 45 minutes. Check our emails, do any educational cornerstones and things like that. We have base chores that are due, and then it's just waiting around for the tones to drop, basically. And I should take that back. We have a partnership with St. Luke's, so we day base at St. Luke's 2 to 3 times a week. So we'll go spend an afternoon there while still taking flights. But
Right on.
other than that, yeah, it's just waiting around for the tones to drop. A little bit of Netflix or a nap, safety naps.
That's right.
Since we're on 24, so.
I suppose that the helicopter check is, I mean, it's not like four rubber tires on a road. I mean, you're still going to thoroughly check. It's a little bit like probably
Yes.
a little bit more thorough check for,
Yes, and med crew mainly does the medical equipment. So the
Okay.
mechanic does a daily
He does a
safety check,
safety check,
and the
right.
pilot does as well. So,
Okay.
so there's 4 sets of eyes on it every day,
Yeah.
except for the mechanic doesn't come in on the weekends unless needed. But
So how many people are down at the base during a shift?
3. So a nurse, a medic, and then the pilot.
Gotcha.
And then med crew does 24-hour shifts, and then the pilots only can do 12.
Okay.
So
And then
Sure, for flight hours.
yeah.
your mechanics and crew chiefs, they're 8 to 5 personnel?
So they're always on 24/7, and then the mechanic comes in at whatever time during the day.
He doesn't have to be there at 2 in the morning.
No,
But he could get called in.
Yeah, unless he's needed. So they're on call 24/7.
Dang.
But
Gotcha.
Right.
they don't have to be there.
When you guys are up at the hospital, is the helicopter up there too?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It stays on the helipad, and
Well, they drive down to the.
yeah,
Well, no, I was just kind of
I'm
curious
just
if like
kidding.
you get a call,
That's a good question. I was just busting you.
if
Yeah,
it's going to
it's-
be parked there or not,
it's
I'm
more.
just busting you.
I think they will like to see the helicopter more than us flight crew. Like, just the.
Yeah.
It has their name on it. It's out in front. Bright and shiny.
Mm-hmm.
But
The cool kids are on the.
cool
Yeah.
clips
Are
in the
around,
front.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
That's right.
But
24 on, 48 off for the medical personnel?
yes.
And
Yep.
then where do the pilots work?
They do 7 12-hour shifts in a row and then a week off.
Oh, nice.
And then they rotate
Whoa.
days and nights. Yep. So they'll do a week of days, off a week of nights, off a week.
All full-time pilots or
All
full-time,
pilots.
part-time?
All full-time. So we have 4 pilots, and they are all, one lives in town, all 3. We have one in Norfolk, one in Minneapolis, and one in Kansas City. And so
Cool.
there's an apartment in the dunes that they live in during their week here.
Right on.
Okay.
Yep.
Huh.
So
Very nice.
Do they spend that week off kind of getting adjusted to the next rotation, probably?
I don't think, well, they can sleep too at night, only if they're
Yeah,
on a call. They
sure.
don't stay up usually all night, so they don't get too turned around, I
Right
don't
on.
think. But,
Okay.
but yeah, but we are Wings Night Rescue half the time. Most of our,
Yeah, right.
I'd
I was
say,
gonna
yeah,
say.
80% of our calls are after dark for sure.
Probably. Yeah.
Is that way?
But I'm sure all EMS and medical world is that way, but
That's just the way it works out, right?
it is.
It's like,
it is. All the
yeah,
good
we'll
stuff
be-
happens at night.
man, we were kind of quiet today.
Oh,
The night comes and you're like, sweet.
yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
they were waiting to save them all for now. That's
Yeah.
cool.
yeah, yeah.
What-
Sometimes it seems like that.
Well,
What,
Angie said
uh,
the Q word.
Yeah, so what is the no-fly criteria then that could
Oh, sure.
possibly ground you guys? And if that's the case, then is it just, well, we're here? I mean, it's still...
Yeah, pretty much. So we have a couple different minimums that we have. So weather-wise, during the day, we have to have 1,000-foot ceilings from the ground. At night, it has to be 1,500-foot ceilings. And then we have to be able to see 3 miles during the day or 5 miles at night.
Okay.
So that's the more weather minimums. This time of year has been actually kind of tricky. We couldn't fly much on my last shift, which was, I can't remember, Saturday, because it was raining. It wasn't snowing, but at altitude, it would be freezing rain.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
yep. So if there's moisture and it's 32 to 37 degrees, we can't fly because at altitude it would be ice. So we can fly in the snow, we can fly in the rain, just not between
That
32.
in-between's
Yeah,
kinda-
that 32, 37 degrees is a hard no. But lightning. We have to be 20 miles from lightning. Other than that, I guess there is a cold minimum, and we reached it last year. But if it's negative 25 or negative 50 wind chill, we cannot fly. But we reached it once last year.
That sounds completely terrible right now with how good of weather we've had.
It's been a nice year.
Hearing those numbers, you're used to hearing like somewhere around the negative teens,
Yeah.
almost creeping up on us.
Well,
but
because like if you're talking negative 50 wind chill, negative 25 air temperature, that's at ground level.
Correct.
Right.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I mean,
so
what's at flight level altitude?
That's
And
what
what is your like? What's your normal, I guess, flight altitude then? What do you guys normally
Usually,
fly? And
it is about-
you're a little soft in
Oh,
my
sorry.
ears. Make sure we're staying just close enough to the
Closer?
mic. Yep. Then we can hear you better.
usually we are flying about 2,500 feet off the ground, which depends on the barometer, but usually 28 to 3,000 above sea level. With the birds, which we'll talk about later, with the migration of the birds right now, we try to fly sometimes higher, 4,000, 5,000 feet above the ground. So it all depends on birds, or weather though. If there's clouds at 4,000, we can still fly, but we'll just be below that.
Okay.
So it adjusts. If we're going east where the windmills are, we're higher to avoid windmills and so forth like that. But usually it's around 2,000 feet off the ground.
Cool.
And you guys only have one aircraft?
Correct. Yep. We have one aircraft. For our company, we work for GMR, and then we're a sub company of GMR called MedTrans. And I think MedTrans alone has mid-50s bases, but our closest sister base, we have one in Cedar Rapids, but it's a hospital base.
Okay.
And then our next closest are in Oklahoma and Mississippi, Alabama. And then there's some in Oregon, but so we're kind of way off in the middle of nowhere. We don't have any sister bases close, but
Gotcha.
Okay.
Does anybody else fly around here? I know Sioux Falls will have some,
Yep.
but is there another entity in Sioux City that flies?
Mercy One has a 429.
Are they
They're-
based out of there as well?
Yeah, they're based out of their hospital.
Okay.
So they stay at the hospital.
They're up on
mostly.
top.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep.
I never knew that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, like to have two air services.
That's wild.
in town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I guess we could talk about. I mean, if we get to that, as far as like, I guess because you guys are partner for St. Luke's. So I mean, it's as far as the dispatch and who like what with two helicopters, somebody's calling for one. Like if out in the county and stuff, and if they're calling for. And that's the other thing too with your coverage area. I mean, that's a little bit different than like Sioux City. Like we're in town, Sergeant Bluff is Sergeant Bluff. Salix is Salix. But they mutual aid with stuff. You guys kind of aren't really limited by.
Even the county is countywide. not-
Yeah.
Right.
You guys
Yeah.
cover
And countywide.
the
Yeah. But
tri-state
like or
area.
state. Like even because like we don't respond into South Dakota. We have mutual aid agreement with Nebraska, but we don't normally go. But you guys aren't limited by
Not
really
at all.
state or county lines or anything like that. Yeah.
No, not at all. I was trying to think. So we have responded to scenes up to about 80 miles from here. We actually got a scene request call from somewhere close to Omaha the other day but they had bad weather. So
Like PJ or something.
I
Pacific
can't remember
Junction?
exactly what the name of that town was, but the other day we went to a scene call in Storm Lake even. So our scene calls can be, like I said, 60 to 80 miles away, and then our response to hospitals. So in our world, we have two different kinds of calls. We have a scene call, and then we'll have a hospital transfer. So our hospital transfers, we've been going as far as like Red Oak, which is actually south of Omaha. Yeah, so we'll go to Red Oak and then bring them back to Omaha, West Point, Nebraska, Storm Lake, Cherokee, Spirit Lake, Lamar's, kind of go all over the place. And then
Nice.
On a tank of gas, we try not to fuel with the patient on board. Depends on the winds, but we have about a 280 mile radius. So that'll get us to Minneapolis, Iowa City, Omaha, Lincoln, Kansas City, are some places that we take patients to from here. Anything further than that, a fixed wing will probably be better, but if we can do it, we'll do it.
First 6 years of my life were spent down in Red Oak,
Red Oak?
Montgomery County Hospital
Yes.
there. Yeah.
Yep, so they lost their local
Yep.
air flight.
They used to have one.
Yep,
Yeah.
and so we've been taking some calls for them. So.
Gotcha.
Got a buddy that's an officer down there. Chavis,
Yeah.
shout out. They
So-
listen. So
Oh, well, shout out. Thank you for your calls, Red Oak.
yeah, there
We
you
enjoy
go.
coming to see you.
So what is the process for, let's say, county fire department has an accident on scene and they request you guys? Does someone have to approve that? or is it kind
Just
of
the pilot.
just the pilot?
Yep.
Gotcha.
Cool.
Yep. So we have a dispatch center. It's actually based down in Denton, Texas. Is our 1-800 number, and then they will let the pilot know that we have a flight request. He'll check the weather, and as long as weather is good and we're all flight ready, rested up, we'll accept the flight. If we're out on a call or we're down for maintenance, the nice thing about our dispatch center, then they will handle getting that person a different helicopter, even if it's without
that's
not
nice.
in our company. Yep.
Okay.
So they will reach out to Mercy or Sanford or anyone else local to get them the help because they're busy. Whoever's calling probably needs help and are busy. So then our dispatch will take care of that from them there.
Gotcha. And then for in terms of priority, is it like kind of a first come first serve? If
Yep.
the hospital calls for a transfer and you accept it, and then an accident comes in,
Yeah, we've
so
already
we're on a transfer, we've accepted it.
correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, we're already en route and use our entity. So back to that. I mean, it is nice to have Mercy in town because there are a lot of times that we are both on flights and are both needed, and both of our flight volumes have been high enough to prove that
sure.
this area
Yeah.
we can sustain 2 helicopter services in town here.
Wow.
Oh, I'm sure just transfers alone.
Well, just there's
Yeah.
so many rural services
They-
around
It's a
that it's like
Yeah.
they're like, I don't care who's coming, just send it.
Just
Send it,
somebody,
please.
somebody, yeah.
It's
And
like
this-
angels coming down, literally.
And this
So-
area is just hurting for probably just the Sioux City to Omaha transfers, the Sioux City
Oh.
to Sioux Falls transfers.
Midwest
because
is just
Midwest
working
can
their
only do
butts
so
off.
much.
Yeah.
SPI is
It's
no
a
longer
hard
a thing.
industry to be in, no matter what.
It
but
is.
now it's just used more and
Yeah.
more.
6 years ago, SPI closed. That's nuts.
That is a while back. Wow.
That doesn't
Yeah, I
seem
guess
like
we
that
are
long.
because last year January 1st was 5 years because
Yeah.
it was 2018 when
Yeah,
Yeah, we're coming
6
up
years
on
to
yeah,
third,
so we're coming
yeah.
up six years.
Eesh.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
wild. All right, so we've kind of just
Yeah.
we kind of like cut right into
Yeah,
the
we
middle of
jumped
this
right
thing.
into
We
the
just
middle
were
there.
just talking. Started with Phil, clean his coffee maker.
Yeah.
So let's go back. Where
It's
did you?
good it's coffee. Isn't
I
it?
haven't
It's
had it yet.
fantastic.
It is good.
I'm like trying not to chug it.
Yeah.
So
Phil does make Phil
Thank
makes
you.
good coffee. Like I said, usually pulls through when he's late, but he'll pull through with gifts. So Ronnie, where'd you grow up at?
I was actually born in Las Vegas, Nevada. My dad raced greyhound dogs, and so he met my mom at the. I don't know if you've been in this area long. There was in North Sioux. There used to be a big dog track, and so that's where they met. My mom was from here, and then so fell in love, and they went back to Vegas. So I actually lived in Vegas until I was about 8 years old, and then came back here to North Sioux. So I've been in North Sioux since '91.
So what was the ties to North Sioux? I'm sorry. Just
that's
the race.
where my mom.
Mother.
That's where my mom.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
I
my mom
gotcha.
grew up there, and Jefferson, South Dakota is actually where I live now. So,
right on.
so
And the Greyhound dog thing. That's just the racetracks in Vegas.
yep. They had race. I guess there's a big racetrack in North Sioux here, and they just travel the country.
You're a gambling man. I'm surprised you didn't know that.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
I never bet the races.
No?
I'll bet football or
Oh, you're the sports guy.
Not the animals.
not the animals. Never. I wouldn't
Yeah.
know what to do.
Different
I don't know if
different
it's even
animal.
big anymore. Greyhound racing. I
It
don't
doesn't
think
seem
it's,
like it. I mean,
No.
maybe the horses.
They virtual don't race them now.
like
Yeah, like virtual horse races and stuff.
really
Yeah, like
like
fake
a
tracks,
computer
not real.
program.
Yeah, yeah. So
Huh.
no,
That wouldn't be as fun.
it
No.
wouldn't. Not at all.
But I wonder if PETA is
Maybe.
shut down the Greyhound. I don't know, but that's how it started. But then, yeah, my mom's family grew up here, farmers, and
Gotcha.
so we actually bought the old farmhouse and renovated it, and that's where we live now.
Cool.
So went to
Very
high school in North Sioux.
Yep, Dakota Valley,
Okay.
in North Sioux there.
What year did you graduate?
03.
Okay. And then immediately said, I want to be a nurse. Is that?
I knew from about sophomore in high school. Don't know where. I didn't know a nurse. I never worked in.
Yeah, no family. Mom wasn't a nurse or anything.
No, my grandma was, but that's why we had moved back. She got ill, so I didn't know her well. But
Okay.
I don't know. It was just in there. So
Cool.
Yeah, where'd you go to nursing school?
University of South Dakota.
Okay.
For
Right
a million. Yep. So I got my associate degree. It was only an associate program back then, 16 years ago. So I got my associates at University of South Dakota, and then, oh gosh, I don't even know. My son was born in 15, so I think I got my bachelor's from St. Luke's College in 16.
Okay.
So
Nice.
and that's where I've rested so far.
Yeah.
Don't know what I want to do when I grow up.
So what was your what were your nursing jobs before Wings?
And so I still actually have the same nursing job. I started at St. Luke's as a new grad, and I still work at St. Luke's now to this day. So I've been at St. Luke's for almost 16 years. I started off on the med-surg floor for the first year,
Okay.
and then I transferred into the ICU right at a year of having my nursing degree. So I've been in the ICU for about 15 years. And then it's been about 7 years now, they opened up a float pool. And so since then I work ICU, ER, and cath lab. So I do all three of those still. And then I also do house supervisor. So,
Nice.
Gotcha.
yep. So 4 jobs there and then a flight nurse now.
Okay. So you no longer do that. You are now.
No, but I still work there part-time. So
Okay,
I do about
yep.
a shift a week,
Float.
1 to 2 a week at some department.
Cool.
So you're 24 or 48 off with wings, and then
Yep. And
we'll
then,
go pick up a shift. Very nice.
What tripped the trigger for the flight stuff then?
actually, it's kind of a funny story. I always wanted to do it, but I was working ICU one night and my patient was coming in and I wasn't busy, so I went down to the helipad to meet my patient downstairs, and I escorted the flight crew up to the bedside. They're kind of talking about the patient, giving a report, and then the medic was like, "Oh, who do we give a report to?" And I said, "You already did. It was me." And he was just very impressed that I went and got my patient and from the helipad, and they basically offered me a job.
Oh, nice.
Right on.
So they had an interview coming up in the next month, and they're like, "You need to come interview," and I did, and I got the job.
Wow.
So
Awesome.
That's all it took.
that's
Yeah.
all it took.
It
Yeah.
was
Well,
right-
it was.
right, well,
I
yeah,
should say
right.
the interview process itself there is grueling. It's
Sure.
like a 150 question test, like a 2-hour oral interview, and then 2 simulations that you have to pass. So
Wow.
the interview was still. I shouldn't say they just offered me the job. I did the
I know. Yeah.
process.
There's a
but-
testing.
There's always a process,
There's a-
right?
testing process to work
Yes.
for wings. Now,
Yep.
is that pretty standard across for most air care flight services?
I believe so. Yep. I pretty sure there's a big testing interview process for most
Now,
of
is
the
that
flight
a
crew.
safety insurance thing, or just
No, I just think to
make
make,
sure they
you
look
get
at the
the
right
best.
Probably to see if you can.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah, make sure you can. If you don't crack
Right.
or the 3-4 hour interview, then you might be able to do it.
yeah, probably a little bit of pressure doing the job it is you do.
Little.
So how long you been working for wings then?
4 years.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
And that's okay, full time with wings for 4 years.
No, I was part time for the first year and a half.
Okay.
And then so, the decision I made to switch, it was actually like late spring of 21. They had an opening, a full time opening coming up, and COVID was COVID, and I was like,
That was a good time to
it
get
was such
out.
a good,
Fun
it was a
time
good
for
time.
healthcare.
It was get out of the ICU, COVID, full time,
for
or
you.
different career
Good doors.
period.
Good
so
door's that opened, and you took the
I
opportunity.
took the
So good for
opportunity
you.
to do something different for a little while and for mental health and a break. I mean, we still transferred COVID though. COVID
yeah,
was everywhere,
absolutely, right.
but
You open
out of the
window.
ICU, yeah, out of the ICU with it for a while.
Yeah, that was my brother worked ICU during COVID up in a suburb of Minneapolis and stuff. I've been talking to him like it was stressful and intense, and like he got burnt out in a hurry doing ICU work, and got out of the ICU and just back on the floor and stuff, and he was a lot happier. But
yeah,
he got burnt out pretty good.
yeah, the year and a half was plenty. I took a month vacation that summer and switched full time jobs, and it helped a lot.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
What's the employee breakdown by part time, full time, and then type at
Sure.
wings?
So full time is 2 24s a week, and then part time we have 2 part time, a nurse and a medic that does 1 24-hour a week, and then we have a few as needed people that have to do a 24-hour shift a month.
Okay.
So-
So would you say the position between flight nurse, flight medic is sought after position that there's no struggle to fill openings?
No, there's not usually a struggle at all.
Okay.
No. So our minimum, I think we struggle with pay. I think healthcare in itself, the pay
Sure.
is not what it should be anyhow. But
Yep.
to get the more experienced people, they're usually making more money than what flight offers. But our minimum is you have to have 3 years experience.
Okay.
And so once you have that experience, we have had plenty of applicants.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Is there a lot of turnover? Or how long do people?
There was a large turnover about 2 years ago, but most of our staff is now been there for 2 years. So we lost one that moved out of town, and then 2 went to our float pool. So our company has a float pool itself that travels the whole United States and fills up open positions for the company, which is a fun, neat experience. So 2 of our staff member went to do that. At the same time, we lost somebody who had moved away. So we had lost 3 out of 8 is a pretty big turnover. So we only have 8 8 staff members or medical staff members and 3 leave. So I would say that was our biggest turnover. But
Yeah, it's a pretty good cut of the
yeah,
fleet.
yeah, and it was our more experienced people. But so it's been 2 years since then, and our turnover hasn't been much since. No.
With the turnover, or like you said, the more experience. I mean, is that something you get into flight? Is that a career? Is that do people spend 20, 30 years flying, or is this do you see the burnout? I guess the street crews now and stuff, and some of our people, when they're running 12 to 15 calls a shift every shift. You can see the burnout can be pretty quick. I mean, do you see that in flight, or do you see people stick around for a long time?
I think it kind of goes both ways. So Charmaine, she's educator at the ER at St. Luke's now, but she did flight for 26 years. And so I do see a lot of people staying in it for 20 years. And then I see some that move on to something a little easier. But I definitely, you can make it a career as long as you stay fit and healthy and can do the job requirements.
As far as medics, I guess that's the question too. For I don't know if if for medics and for nurses and stuff, a hierarchy of this is the cool job, or people see if you're a flight nurse, you're versus an ICU nurse versus a nurse practitioner, or a flight medic versus just a street medic. As far as kind of what light or where you're at on the mountain, as far as I don't know, either just coolness or experience, or just is this an air medic is special forces versus you know what I'm saying, trying to articulate, I guess.
I do. I think a lot of people see it
it's
as the top of their
the flight
career.
medic is that the top of where a paramedic can go is being a flight medic. I mean, is that kind of the top, or is there another step beyond that?
I'm not sure.
That's probably pretty individualized.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
I guess it depends what you
Some
want to base
people
it
are
on.
like, I don't want to ride in a helicopter ever.
Yeah, no, I get that,
No,
but
yeah.
I just if you're advancing your career as a medic, what's the next step versus okay, now I'm a medic, I'm a flight medic, I did this for a while, okay, now I want to go to nursing school or be and take that step and go, but where's the stopping point for somebody that's a paramedic?
I do know a lot of our medics are looking into going into nursing school, and I just think it's more pay wise, because back to the other question, as high as you can go, I think the reason why we feel it's the highest of our career is we have this autonomy. So we have a medical director who has given us a set of guidelines, but we are specially trained where
You're making the decisions,
we're
right?
making the decisions.
Yeah.
We're the ones at the bedside.
Yep.
I don't want to say we have the guidelines from our physician, but we're more practicing.
You're an extension
Yep.
of that physician.
Yeah, we're really kind of clinically practicing. So I think that's where
Right, versus
you feel this higher level of
versus a nurse in a hospital is working in kind of a controlled environment with they're getting orders and doing the
there's no autonomy at bedside.
doing the sim training I've done a couple times with you guys and stuff, and you can see that, whereas you go to do hospital based nursing and stuff, and we don't do that until the doctor tells them do this.
Yeah.
Whereas you
That's
guys,
a good way to piss off a nurse too. Tell them, well, if the doctor wasn't there, you wouldn't be able to do that.
Well, I'm just saying, but this is what they tell us. They're like, when we're like, here, can you do this, and this? Well, no, we don't do that. But you guys, as on the flight, you guys are available. And that's why I just try to make the pitch when you're recruiting to people that are in nursing school to come work on the street and stuff. As paramedics, because as a paramedic, you get that same autonomy. You get all the skills you learn at school. You get to use in somebody's living room or in a ditch someplace or on the street or whatever.
You're there, right?
Right.
Yeah,
and you get to do that versus, in nurses, even in ER, it's a controlled chaos, but a lot of your direction comes from, or even advanced airways or starting IVs. You got other things.
They're right there over your shoulder too.
Right, but you have other people that are doing stuff for you, but you guys, you don't have that option.
Yeah.
And that's where on the street, as the medics on the street and stuff, or as as first responder, you get to just do the stuff because you're working as an extension of the doctor and our training and stuff and our policies and stuff, and everything's there to allow us to do that, our protocols and stuff. So I just think that's that's where it's kind of cool that you guys have that.
you
Like you
get to
said,
use
that
your critical
autonomy is a
thinking.
good, the critical thinking and stuff.
Yep.
Yep.
So I always said after flight, if I don't discontinue in flight, I'll have to go get my advanced nurse practitioner or something where I can keep that autonomy.
Right.
Because I don't think I can.
I don't
give
think
that
I could take orders from someone. Right?
I don't think I can just give up that autonomy forever. I have no trouble working bedside for a shift or two now, but I've been doing mostly house supervisor because somebody's on maternity leave, so that's just running the whole hospital, which is
Right on.
stressful enough. But yeah, giving up that autonomy will someday. I don't know if I can do it. But
So you said to be a flight nurse, you said 3 years experience. Is that
Correct.
general or is that ICU?
ICU or ER.
Okay.
Yep, and then a critical care. More
That
paramedic
makes
is
sense.
3 years. Yeah.
That
Yep.
makes sense because you're in emergency medicine.
And then
that's what it is.
and then they will send you to a critical care course, or you have to do that before. How does
No,
that
that's
work?
after. So usually you'll have your critical care experience from working in the hospital.
Yep.
There's a 10-day training down in Denton, Texas. So
Mm-hmm.
they'll fly you down to Texas for 10 days. And they have this, it is a full 10 days too. There's no
Yeah.
days, breaks, there's nothing. But you go through, they call it a fire school, like drinking from a fire hose of information that they give you over these 10 days. And then you come back to base where your orientation usually is about 12 weeks.
Okay.
So it's either 12 weeks, and it depends how you do, but they usually at least want you to have 12 flights in with your preceptor.
Gotcha.
And then you can become a second rider, which is you fly for a year to year and a half with someone who has more than 2 years experience as a flight person. So
Okay.
you're paired up with someone more experienced for your first year and a half, and then you get to let go.
So
I
are you
guess.
an extra person on the aircraft at that point?
Correct. Yep. So we'll fly 3 people
Gotcha.
in the
Nice.
helicopter when people are in orientation.
Okay.
So, yeah, if you've seen it, so that aft seat behind the pilot is where that spare person sits.
Yeah, not a lot of room.
Not a lot of
Yeah, and that's got affect. You know, the pilot's
Everything.
planning everything, right? It's
Yep.
extra weight on board.
Yep. So we fly. Everything is weight based, weight balance. So the amount of fuel we have affects how much people weight we can carry, and we have to adjust fuel and weight that way.
Gotcha. So as flight nurses, do they get the training then to intubate and airways and things like
Correct.
that? Like that's like the one crossover.
That's
or
about
one,
the one big crossover. Well,
that
yes.
between like something a paramedic would normally do that a nurse wouldn't. Would
Wouldn't.
be airway
Intubation.
management.
Correct. Well, I'll
yeah,
say,
sorry. Yeah, yep.
intubation was the biggest skill, I would say. I came from inside a hospital. I was blessed with being in the warm weather all the time, and I would say becoming a flight nurse, my biggest eye opener was being in the back of the ambulance, being in a ditch somewhere, being the first one to a scene or close to a scene for a patient. So that was probably my biggest learning curve was.
Because a
I'd
lot
watch
of the
plenty-
times,
Yeah, that's good.
you're probably picking up from BLS services
Yep.
anymore because
Yep.
people
Now
can't
I love
even.
that. That's
yeah,
get to
right.
start from fresh and start. But yeah,
Right,
in
absolutely.
the beginning, yeah, picking somebody up out of a ditch and snow and cold and
Yeah, those
That's-
first.
That
few
takes a
initial
special
steps.
person anyway. so
I enjoy it now. But it was a big learning curve of heck, I didn't know how to
Hospital?
open a
hospital in the warm.
ambulance door.
Yeah,
No.
that's what.
I'm gonna
that's
lay
a
down in the
pre-hospital.
snow
That's
and
what-
start intubating people.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, like when you go to recruiting events and stuff and everything, you talk to the kids that are in nursing school. I want to work the ER because I want that adrenaline. I'm like, no.
Oh.
hold on.
No.
Let's-
Come over
no,
here.
no.
Come over here.
Yeah, let's talk about this pre-hospital stuff where
Pre-hospital
there's
is
no
where
air
it's at.
conditioning and there's no heat and there's you are in the,
So, like, as far as the intubating and stuff, do you and your medic partner switch roles for each call? Like, I got
Yep.
airway this time, you got drugs, and
Yep.
whatever you're doing.
Yep. So we kind of have it set up role wise on what side of the aircraft you sit in. So we used to call it the medic seat was on the left behind the patient and the nurse seat on the right. But now we just call it left and right. And then we would just switch with our partners. So we have a new schedule now because we got burnout. So we were doing on 24, off 24, on 24. We were all getting burned out. So that's when we went to on 24, off 48. But
Sure.
but anyway, when we were on that on 24, off 24, my partner and I at that time our first 3 shifts, one would sit left, and then we would switch the next 3 shifts.
Nice. I didn't know if it was shoving them down and racing out to see who gets airway or something,
Yeah.
or rock paper scissors before you get
Yes.
in while it's firing up.
Yeah, no, we discussed
Cool.
that beforehand, but
Right
yeah.
on.
And then we can, if we actually don't get to intubate that often. Usually the hospitals
Sure.
or somebody has already taken that fun away, but every once in a while we get to do that. But
Cool.
What extra training do your paramedics do then to?
all the same classes. So
Okay.
Your CCP and stuff,
Yep,
right?
yep,
Yeah.
CCP, and then so nurses have a certified flight RN and then certified flight paramedic. So we have to have that within 2 years of hire, and so that's our advanced certifications. But
Is there a short list off the top of your head that you only have the responsibility for that your paramedics cannot do?
Blood. So
Gotcha.
a nurse has to be there for blood administration, and that's the only thing that really I'm there for. Technically, as a nurse, is blood administration.
And why
You guys
is,
carry
why is
I'm
that?
sorry.
Yeah, we
I'm
do.
getting just bombarded
Yo,
right
you're
now.
fine. We do. We carry 4 units of blood products. So we have 2 packed cells and 2 fresh plasma.
Cool.
And if we know we have extras at base, so if we hear it's just terrible, we can
Sure,
throw
sure.
more in
Yeah.
as well. But we always have those 4 with us.
Okay.
And I don't know why, if it's the state of Iowa or what
Like a
state,
standard?
yeah, what that paramedics can't initiate blood. I'm not sure where that comes from.
Do you guys ever fly with just, if you put staffing reasons or whatever, with just 2 medics instead of, or do you always
Nope.
have to have a nurse?
You always have to have a nurse to bill for critical care for some reason. But we can fly nurse, and there are some states that fly medic. I think it's a state law for that billing reason why it's not medic.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So a lot of stuff. Can you talk about a little bit about just the orientation, I guess, on the inside of the aircraft as far as how, because people can picture it in their mind as like, the back of an ambulance where you have, a cot in the middle and bench on both sides, lots of room and stuff. But that's not
Yeah.
the case in that aircraft. It's kind of
not.
tight quarters, yeah.
No, so yeah, we fly Bell 407, and so on the pilot seat, so it is configured now for medical use. So originally the Bell 407 would have 2 seats in the front for pilots, and then 2 seats at the way back that face forward, and then 2 seats that face the other way. So it's manufactured, so the pilot seat on the left side is taken out, and then the other seat is taken out on that left side. So we have a 5.5-foot sled that then sits in there. So we have a double open door where we have to shimmy out the sled and then place that sled there. So the feet are actually in the co-pilot seat of the patient, and then the patient's head is actually basically in the lap of the person on the left
They're
side.
flying English.
Yep, it's flying English style.
Yeah.
And so we have that in that extra seat behind the pilot where we store our bags and equipment while we're on a flight and such. So yeah, it's a tin can. It's you get used to it, but it's a tight quarters with when you have all your equipment, a patient,
Absolutely.
and everybody on board. And then if it's a child or there's other circumstances, if it's an inmate or something where then we need to fly another person as well, or on orientation. So we could have up to 5 souls, they call it. on board.
Yep, 5
Yeah,
souls.
that'd
on
be
Five souls.
five.
So
Gotcha.
I worked
Yep.
with an old medic in Fort Dodge at Trinity Hospital.
Uh-huh.
They were EMS based out of the hospital at the time when I was working fire over there. And he would always say that, en route to Trinity with 3 souls on board, because
yep.
he used to work flight all the time.
Yep.
So I was like, okay.
Yep.
That's
3 souls
funny.
on board.
Old Dino.
5 souls on board. Yeah, so we can have up to 5 on board at the time.
Yeah.
Or baby, if they're pregnant, that's 6, I guess. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
those aren't my favorite. But anyhow.
Right. I don't think they're anyone's favorite.
I don't
Somehow
think
they are.
anyone's.
Some people work in the NICU. I don't get it.
So are you, because of that, so the sled and the orientation of the patient stuff,
Correct.
are you, I guess then, are you limited by patient height even? Like because I mean, can you
Yes.
put somebody that's, 6'5", 6'6" in there or not?
6'5" is about the limit. Yep.
Okay.
6'5" is about the limit.
Just squeak in.
Maybe.
It depends on the medic as well, or whoever's sitting on that
Yeah,
left side.
and is there requirements in I guess size requirements for the flight crew
crew
themselves? Yeah.
Not necessarily, no. As long as they're able to do their work safely,
Sure.
then no, there's not.
Cool.
But we just adjust our fuel for who's on board that day. But yeah, there is weight for patient. So it's 450 pounds is what our sled can hold. So 450 is a hard weight stop, and then about 6'5". We can sit them back into the medic. So Katrina, I think y'all know Katrina. She's 100 pounds soaking wet. She can really bring that patient back into her lap further than what another male medic could or so. But,
Sure.
and then, but we also have a girth weight or girth limit. There's a safety bar, and so if we can't fit the girth of the patient under that bar, then we have the pleasure of going by ground,
Okay.
which
Yeah,
we've done quite a few times.
Yeah.
But
So
You get.
What?
No.
Sure. All right. So what about the high weight requirements for staff, like pilots and crew chiefs, or sorry, medics?
yep, nope. There's no real.
Yeah, that's
Limits
kind of like
whatsoever.
what just Phil asked if you would listen. So,
Oh yeah, there's no limits as long as you can perform your job. There's
Okay.
no limits.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
We-
I
I
always
mean,
thought
we
it
have
was
to be
like
able
I
to-
thought it was always
We can
like
draw.
a height,
We can
like a
draw
height
it for you on the
restriction
back
for,
of this.
Yeah.
if
Oh,
you
I'm
want.
sorry.
for like
I thought Phil asked specifically for like patients.
no,
Oh,
I did
no.
first, and then
It
Okay.
moved into.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do. I mean, we have to be able to.
I was cleaning my coffee maker. Sorry.
We have to be able to deadlift 50 pounds and hold it. I can't think of. I don't remember all the other physical.
yeah, that's
things
I guess
we need
that
to
yeah.
do,
Does
but-
wings? Do they do like a CPAT? Do they? Is there a physical
there's
assessment
not.
test for that? No.
No, actually, there's not. No, but I think you learn quickly what you can or can't do.
Sure.
But,
Yeah, I bet you. I bet you do.
yes, but yeah, because our one bag, our main bag is I think 47 pounds.
Wow.
And then the Lucas,
Mhm.
I have
Sure,
to carry that
yeah.
bag. I'll carry the Lucas on the front, which kind of helps balance things out.
That's the other thing. So, what are the requirements again for flight? If they're actively coding,
Yes, they have to. We fly people coding as long as the Lucas fits around their
sure,
girth. Yep.
it's all based off that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So as long as they can have compressions with the Lucas, we'll fly them.
Is that
Otherwise-
that's different though between flight companies sometimes, isn't it?
I think. I mean, there are some that don't have a Lucas or a mechanical
Sure.
CPR. Also, I can't speak for other companies.
Sure.
But there
Okay.
are some helicopters that you can be next to the patient. So maybe they'll let them do CPR if they're seated.
That would
while-
be
yeah, I'm
extra
not sure.
miserable, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
doing
let it
that
be a
in a
long flight
helicopter.
for-
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
But yeah, so as long as the Lucas fits, we fly.
I was
Right
gonna
on.
say, is there any medical equipment on your helicopter we haven't talked about?
Oh gosh, we have so much.
Okay. Yeah.
So much.
I
We
was
could throw
back.
some
I guess.
throw some pics up
Yeah.
while we're talking.
I have-
of the
Yeah.
Yeah. Back to your other question. Another reason for a nurse over a medic, we fly a lot of cardiac assist devices like a balloon pump and Impella.
Okay.
And I think not after training, our medics have vast knowledge on those assist devices too. I just think the nurses sometimes are a little more comfortable with
Absolutely.
those sick ICU patients on. a
Well,
balloon
and
pump
I
like-
see. Well, and you're talking like sometimes patients on a vent and 4 different pumps and everything, like lots of stuff.
Oh yeah,
for
it's
sure.
a easy,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
lots
like
of stuff.
that's a
so-
lot of stuff to keep track. That's why
Yeah.
you guys watch you guys do a training. It's different than our street medics. Where every single one of you guys, when you come in and we come in the back of the sim bus and we were doing a handoff from a BLS crew to the ALS crew or whatever, and you guys all whip out your notepads. Every single one, or it's either strapped to your leg, and you're starting to write notes. Everybody's like,
you have to,
Yeah.
right?
like,
you
right
have to
like,
keep track of
that's
that.
like the first step. They just want you guys
Yeah.
with every single one. It's like you're either you're training or whatever, just in ground,
that's-
and you just
that's
start
good,
writing
though,
this stuff
right?
down.
Yeah.
That means you're all being
Yeah.
trained the same.
Like
Like
asking
my
questions.
pocket
Yep.
full of.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
just-
Oh, yeah.
length based
all
and
whip
all
them out
that.
and just start
Sweet.
going and.
Oh, I carry
shot.
my own link base because kids have scared the crap out of me my entire life. So I'm not going to be without
Right.
the Broslow.
Absolutely. Love it.
Yeah, but yeah, they just start writing stuff down, times, everything, and then just calculating and whatever and figuring stuff out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of the most important questions that we ask if we can have a patient wait. Not only does that let us know if our pilot has to burn any gas to be able to pick up the patient, but we can do our drug calculations, our vent calculations, all of those things before we get to the bedside.
So bird gas. So like we gotta do about 6 more laps
Yep.
before we can land, just because we gotta
so
burn
many
it
times.
up. Eh?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. So there's been times at a hospital they'll pick back up and they'll do high G turns
Sure.
or
Yeah.
on a scene too.
Do you guys work hand in hand with like the fixed wing stuff?
No, we don't.
No?
Not
Okay.
here. A lot of bases you do both if
Okay.
they have both at their base, but we do not have a fixed wing close.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, some do.
Okay.
So you said something about you take the left seat of the pilot or
Okay.
the pilot left seat out for the patient.
Correct. Yep.
So how do you guys orientate pilots then? They're just experienced enough they can
Correct. So they
figure
have
it
to.
out on their own?
Yep. So our company, I believe, has a minimum requirement of flight hours in that airframe, and it's a lot for. I want to say like 2,400 flight hours
Yeah.
in that.
The standard for flying
Yeah.
anything is ridiculous.
Yeah, so
I mean,
our
not for
company's
our
higher.
safety, but in terms of like wanting to be employable.
Yes.
It's you almost need to be in the military to.
And all 4 of our pilots are military.
Okay.
Ex-military. I would say, I bet 90% of HEMS pilots are ex-military.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what you
They're
probably
wonderful.
feel better that way.
Oh, yeah,
'cause
they're
that's what
wonderful
doing
pilots.
when they're in.
A little more.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they also have that
Because
same
I mean,
training.
do you
in
want
Texas.
Ben Moorhead flying you? I mean, no.
I couldn't. There's no way I could.
I don't
But-
even want Ben Moorhead making the coffee. That's
Yeah.
why I
No,
had
that's
to
right.
clean the coffee maker.
Fox is like, who's driving for me next? Oh my
no.
God.
Fox is on.
We'll get somebody else
my
out here.
Oh,
God.
you would be up there flying, and you're like, ooh, a button, and you forget what you're doing.
I better clean that wipe. Oh,
Yeah.
no, this controller.
What are you doing out there, Phil? Nothing.
You'd have to
I'm fine.
be polishing the
Look,
wings off.
there's a good autopilot. You'd have time to mess around with it, but
shoot.
but yeah, then each pilot goes to our own training for, I think, 2 weeks.
Okay,
so cool.
let's say a pilot was in the military and they flew Blackhawks.
Correct.
Then they'd have to go maybe get to that specific aircraft, train
Yep.
on it for a certain
2 weeks.
number of hours,
Yep.
and then they'd be
Yep.
spun up and good to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I've always been curious how the crossover is it just like flying a different type of car, or if it's totally different?
Well, cars don't fly.
Yeah, exactly. But some of the different type of aircraft,
Yes.
you go from like, so many different types in the military. They go for what type of aircraft is?
We
wings?
have a Bell 407, so it's
Okay.
a single pilot, single engine helicopter. And so, yeah, one of our pilots flew Blackhawks. Another one flew, oh, he's going to be so mad. I know this. The really, really big ones.
Probably Chinooks.
Yeah, Chinooks. Yep, so we have a Chinook pilot, I think 2 Black Hawk pilots, and then Jamie flew something similar to what we have now, the 407.
Okay,
A
cool.
single. Yep. So, and how easy the transfer over is, I think it's quite simple. The mechanics are all still pretty the same. I'm sure it's driving a stick shift versus an automatic and some small tuning changes.
Yeah.
But they all have a collective. They all have a stick in the middle and 2 foot pedals. So,
Sure.
I wish I knew more, but I know how to. I know some emergency procedures, but definitely not
Right.
definitely not
Right.
enough to fly it. That's for sure.
Gotcha.
If he has a bad day, we're all having a bad day.
That is
right?
true. That is true. That's another question later on here that we
Right.
can get into. But yeah.
I know
Yeah,
Derek was feeling a little woozy on his
Well,
little
I know they-
Oh, was
G
he?
pull that
They
you guys
pulled
are
that,
doing.
yeah.
I heard there
pulled-
was. I heard there was quite the G turn. There,
Yeah.
though,
He was
so.
having some
Watching
fun up
back
there.
on some of the video, you could see his face just pull just a little bit and stuff. So, yeah, got a good turn on it.
They're
Looked like They
laughing,
were
he's
banking
like,
pretty
"Ooh."
good. Yep.
On a good weather day, how fast will you fly?
Our average flight is about 150 miles an hour.
Okay.
We can get up to about 180 if we have a good tailwind.
Nice.
Very good.
Yeah, so I've made it from Omaha back to Sioux City, I think 20 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, with a good
Yeah,
tailwind.
that's nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
Real
but
nice.
the opposite always happens too. You can get a big headwind and you're going 90 miles an hour.
Sure.
So then those are long. Like ground would have been just as fast.
Mm.
But well, I say I got sick on a ground transfer the other day though. I don't get sick in the helicopter, but I was sitting sideways on a 2.5 hour ground transfer.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I hate being in the back.
Oh yeah, sitting
Yeah.
on that side seat. I'm like, gosh,
Yeah.
that was rough.
You're not used to that though. You're either forward,
Forward, yeah.
probably backward,
So,
even
yeah.
backward. Though.
Sideways was very rough.
With that ground transfer. So touch on that ground transfer. So
Yeah.
like if the let's say Unity calls, they need you got to transfer somebody to whether university up to Mayo, whatever.
Yep.
Bird can't fly. So I mean, do you
Gets
guys
tricky there, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do you guys take somebody by ground in something, and then do you ride with some? I mean, what happens then if this patient's critical enough they need a bird can't fly?
Yep.
Then what?
So I just recently kind of learned this. So we can go by ground with Unity Point. Insurance reason why is because we're partnerships with Unity Point. So if they had a ground rig available, we can initiate a ground transport. Otherwise, when we go by ground, we have to fly there with the intentions of flying them. And then our insurance will cover us if our intentions were to fly, like our last ground one, their girth was too large. So they're still our patient, but our intentions were to fly them. But then now we have to go by ground to.
So you flew to that in that
Yep.
instance. You flew to where you were going to get the patient.
Yep,
Found
then
the
our
patient
insurance-
couldn't fit, and now
Correct.
they got to.
Yep.
So do you? I guess I mean. I guess would that be like like Ottawa, right? If you flew down to Ottawa, landed, patient's too big,
Yep.
then Ottawa's ambulance service, would you just jump in with their
Correct.
ambulance and then
Yep.
ride with them to come back?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then our insurance covers us, and we can do all of our normal things.
Okay.
But we can't have a pre-planned ground transport. So, but I mean, it could be many things. Weather has come in. We find
Sure.
out the patient's too large, or they have equipment that won't fit, or
Yeah. So like if there's a transfer from Sioux City to Omaha, they would never put you in an ambulance and make you take that.
not if it wasn't a reason. Like if say the weather's terrible, and they know we can't fly. We can for St. Luke since we're partnerships with them, but if
Okay.
it was Mercy, we can't just get into a Midwest
Gotcha.
ambulance and so forth.
Right.
But
Sure.
for insurance reasons.
That makes sense.
You're talking.
Have they ever been like grounded out in the field and had to stay grounded because
Yeah.
happened quite a bit?
Yeah. Not
Okay.
not a whole lot,
Enough
but
to be
enough.
like,
Yeah.
"This sucks."
I spent some times at airports and cornfields and
Sure.
and such. Yeah.
Because the times that I've been a part of flight, like loading people into flights, it just seems like the weather turns to crap for some
very
reason,
quickly.
and it's like they either got to sit a little bit or we can do it. Like
Yeah.
it's like we can do it. So
We
they
could go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And would you?
I just wondered how often that actually like
Oh,
happened.
yeah. It kind of depends
And
on.
then at night, I never know.
Oh.
Because I'm on the ground and you guys have to go up in the sky in a way. So it's like, well, hopefully
Yeah.
everything's cool up there because it looks good down here. But it's just
And sometimes we take missions knowing that we're going to get stuck somewhere. So
Sure. Okay.
as long as our ideology is, as long as we can safely get to the patient, get the patient where they need to go. If we know we're going to be stuck in Des Moines for the next 4 hours afterwards, we're going to be stuck in Des Moines. But we were able to get that patient to there at that point.
right on.
And so, yeah, that's where I've spent a lot of times in a
Down.
lot of different airports, just waiting for weather to pass or and such like that.
Okay.
But yeah, as long as we can get the patient to where they need to be, we'll worry about the rest later.
Awesome.
Would you say the safety, those safety lines that the pilots put in place, those are
Those are
hard.
hard.
Those are hard.
Oh,
There
yep.
is no like, this patient's gonna die. It's like it
No.
doesn't. Sorry, that sucks.
Yep.
But like
So
these
that's
are
yeah.
our parameters, and we're not flying.
Yep. So and actually, there's a safety clause or safety built in that way. So when we get toned out for a flight,
Yep.
we don't get any patient information. So there's no biases on if we take
Oh,
the flight
okay.
or not. Yep. So we just get where the patient's coming from and where they're going, and that's all we get.
Yeah. That way they're not like
Yep.
2-year-old in a car accident.
Correct. Yep.
Sure.
So there's
And
no biases. So not until we accept the flight.
That's
do
pretty
we-
smart. I didn't
Yep.
think of that.
Yep. So not until we accept the flight, then do we learn what we're going for.
Okay. Do you
My,
at least know transport or scene?
No.
Really? Okay.
No. Not sometimes, not always.
Gotcha.
They can usually just say the city, so they could say, I don't know. If they say Ottawa, it could be Burgess Hospital or it could be a scene.
Oh.
But
If you're going to, well, you're going to Merrill.
Yeah.
It's like there's no hospital.
yeah,
in
there's no
Merrill.
hospital in
That's-
Merrill.
probably
You're
going to-
pretty good.
You're going to,
Yeah, on a scene.
You're going to the
but
corner there by the
yes.
car dealership.
You're doing all GPS location when
Correct.
you're field, right?
Yep.
Okay.
We have GPS for everything now.
Sure.
It's very smart. We have I think
Right.
it's a Garmin.
Like
It's yeah.
they'll tell you like
we
whereabouts.
get coordinates.
they're
Yeah.
at? Right on.
Yeah, we get coordinates and plug them in, and it takes us right there.
Awesome.
Yep.
Very few times have I been like at a hospital or, it's always out in the field usually.
Oh.
But
Yeah.
okay.
Yep. And then we have most of the local places or regular places that we go. We have a landing zone already set up at, anyway, yeah. There's baseball fields and a lot of parks and such that we have There's a Correctionville. There's a road that we always land at, and yeah.
Predetermined places for most
places
places to do it.
Yep.
That's
but then,
cool.
but then sometimes, yeah, we're right at the accident on 29 and block the interstate for hours.
Sure.
And such too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So Wings kind of made like Facebook news a couple weeks ago with hitting a bird.
We
Were
did.
Were you working?
I worked the next day.
Okay.
Yep.
Did they hit the bird or the bird hit them?
That's a good point.
I'd say that bird should
bird
get
hit
the
the
hell out
bird.
of the
I mean,
way.
does it matter?
You're way bigger.
Does it matter who's going faster or I don't know?
Didn't have
who
your
hit
blinker.
who?
Didn't have your blinker on.
No,
Yeah.
no, we didn't. Yes, we did. We had a pretty significant bird strike Thanksgiving night. So, and it's quite rare, and I shouldn't say it's quite rare. Bird strikes are pretty familiar, especially this time of year. The phenomenon was the bird hit perfectly in the weak spot of that windshield.
That's so crazy.
That's where then we had the shatter of the plexiglass, and it struck the pilot and caused for an emergency landing.
Yeah. Did it hurt the pilot?
It did. He was quite dazed, confused,
I bet.
and needed kind of some revival or to wake up.
Yeah.
And then some assistance in landing.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's a that's a scary deal right there.
Yeah. He took the bird right to the right side of his face.
Lucky he
and-
didn't like lose his eye, anything.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, he had, because they were just coming into Storm Lake. Storm Lake is a very bright, lit city, and so he was just coming over the wind towers, and so he was in his descent. So at that time, I shouldn't say the autopilot was completely off, but the certain things were off where he had to fly the helicopter, and so he had flipped his goggles up, our night vision goggles that we all wear, so he could see better because those lights are so bright. Then
Sure.
it's too bright in those goggles. And so his goggles were up, and it came right through that right side of the windscreen, took him right in the right side, and he went to the left, and the helicopter kind of went to the left some, and our nurse in the back kind of like, hey, and then he's like, yeah, and so got the aircraft flying straight again into the airport. And
Yeah, time off for that and stuff. Is
Yeah,
it
he
doing
has.
all right.
Yep,
or-
yep. It's actually an FAA, so he's out for quite a while due to the
Sure,
FAA
yeah.
requirements of head injury. So.
Okay.
That's crazy. Is
Yeah.
it? Does the aircraft? Does it have its own, I guess, emergency thing? So if it detects something like that, does it automatically go back on autopilot or anything? So I mean, so if the
No.
pilot was knocked unconscious at that point where
You're
it's
at the
not on
mercy
auto,
of
I mean, or
how
you're
it
just like,
turns.
Yeah. So we have training prior to, and since then we've done even more training.
Sure.
And we've actually been more hands-on and have made some changes on how we practice in the back, because if there's not a patient on board, we have that 47-pound bag, and it used to sit up really far in the front, but now we've actually moved that bag back a little bit. So if that were to happen, we can move that bag quickly and scoot up to the front to assist.
Okay.
And so we have a 97 bullet point checklist on how to fly it.
Yep.
And so we can revive the pilot. So if autopilot's on, there's 3 different sets to the autopilot, as long as there's something called SAS, and I can't remember what it stands for. But if that's on, the helicopter will fly itself straight as long as the collective and
Yeah.
thing are not touched. And then we can go from there.
and go from there.
We can go from there, and I always told him I'll try to resuscitate you before I shove you out the door, but
Yeah.
we
No.
can't get him out the door, but
Yeah.
we'll
Right,
still try
yeah.
to.
Yeah, it's not really a thing, but yeah,
No.
not like in the movies, right? But no,
No.
but that's still, it's pretty scary, you know, that,
It
that
was.
pilot, because, you know, I mean, just the circumstances around everything, just the fact that the bird was able to penetrate the windshield,
Yep.
and then that the pilot took it in the face and stuff like that, and then, you know, but still, I mean, yeah, he could have been severely injured and stuff, and
It
then
definitely could have
with
been worse.
other, you know, how many souls on board and stuff like that, it could have been really bad, but.
Mm-hmm.
You know, fortunately, it wasn't. Well, it was how many years ago? Well, right when I came on was it 2000, 2001, 02, somewhere in there where
Mason
the
City.
Mason
Or-
City.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
where
iced
the-
over and
Yep.
had a.
They no longer
Fatal.
have a flight either, do they?
I think they do.
Or
I
do
think
they
there's a
still have
Mercy
one?
one out there.
I can't remember.
I think,
Okay.
or a Unity Point. I do know that Mason
Okay.
one does. Mason City does have one
Okay.
now, but
So if your service is down a pilot, how do they manage replacing his shifts? And
so there are float teams for pilots out there as well, so we can have some help from floats. The few float pilots that we have, or other pilots can pick up extra shifts.
okay.
So they like overtime too. So we have one
Yeah.
in Kansas that likes to come up, a couple in Florida and Tennessee, regular float pilots that'll come help us out. So now that
Service flies them up.
yep,
And then
all
very
their
nice.
all their stuff is covered, and they come hang out with us for.
I'm sure you
time.
get used to the same kind of pilot though.
Oh,
like
yeah.
how they operate, how
Yes.
they fly, and then you get a float and you're kind of like, oh boy, it's been a while probably. Or
It keeps us fresh though, because
Sure.
we know the area and have to help them out with the area and such like that. But
Okay.
usually the extra ones that come have been here before quite a bit, so
Sure.
they know the area pretty well.
cool.
So after that strike, that was coming into Storm Lake, you said?
Correct.
So basically, emergency landing in Storm
Yep.
Lake at the airport there.
Correct.
So once the aircraft's on the ground, obviously not able to fly because it's got a hole in the windshield.
Correct.
What happened then? How long is the aircraft? Does it get fixed in Storm Lake? Does it get put on a flatbed and brought back here? What happens at that point?
So since the Storm Lake Airport had a heated hangar, we were able to leave it in Storm Lake. So that next day, my partner Tony and I, we actually had a spare helicopter here because that one was just down for maintenance. So we had the spare still. So we actually flew there in our spare, and we were in service just that next day, just while we had that spare helicopter, and we manually pushed it into the hangar and let it thaw because it was frozen. And so we thawed that bird out for about 2 hours and then cleaned it up and ordered the new windscreen. And it was about 5 days process by the time of getting the new windscreen in, getting it fitted. And then we needed the heated hangar because it had to be 60 degrees with the sealant for 24 hours before we could fly it.
Before you
So,
could fly
so yeah, it was about 5.5 days down in Storm Lake.
in Storm Lake.
Yep, and then we got to fly it back.
So you said your backup, your reserve helicopter. So is there down at the airport? You actually have two down there?
We do not. So the company itself has about 5 spare helicopters
Okay.
They'll
that
send
float.
them out.
Yep, that float around the company for when we have big scheduled maintenance.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
then we can get a spare in to stay in service while our
Are you
regular has.
are you dreading those days?
No, they're not bad. It's
Okay.
the switch over is fine. It's tedious, but we have it down to about 35 minutes. We can switch all our gear into the other helicopter, but they're all the same helicopters.
I was going
They're all
to say, is the
407s.
same year? It's not like a smaller, like van style helicopter?
Nope, they're
No.
exactly the
Or
same.
an
thing.
older style.
I mean, that's kind of what,
helicopter.
I was going to let the cap cover that. Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at.
No.
Same thing. No,
The
same
pilots
thing.
do have a difference. We have the Legacy, which is the better GPS computer screen, and then it kind of goes back. Some of the spares are more that analog screen.
Yeah.
So they may have some differences. Us in the back.
But
it's
you
all the
guys
same.
are squared away the same.
Yeah, it's all the
Cool.
exact same.
Yeah.
And you just roll with the punches, right?
Yep, just
That's what you got.
whatever we got to do.
So how involved does the medical personnel be in terms of being part of the team and getting things ready? It's really not your parameters or your job,
Oh.
but
Yeah, we are full flight crew members, so that's the difference too in flight versus I would say hospital work. We are fully trained flight team members as well, so we are just as held responsible for safety. Even say if the patient's coding, like if we're coming in to land somewhere, it's hard to do it, but you can't pay attention to the patient, and you have to be eyes outside and the safety part of landing that helicopter.
yeah.
And same coming into the scene, out of the scene, or wherever we're going.
Yeah.
So safety first. We are flight crew members before we're medical personnel.
Good.
So
Well, yeah,
It's hard
that
to
was
switch.
that training with the first training we did with you guys with the sim and stuff, and that was you guys, and that was what they did is went from the back of the so an ambulance crew passing off a patient with a vent and everything and Lucas and all that stuff. Take the sim, load it in the helicopter, but then they stayed on the ground, but then simulated an air emergency, and
Yep.
then like all of a sudden, okay, you guys had your steps, pilot had his steps, and
Yep.
to mitigate and how you guys are going to do that and stuff. So
Yeah, we
it's
went
kinda
into
cool
it.
that,
That is-
yeah, we went into an inverted IMC where basically we're in the clouds, we can't see. So our helicopter can only fly visual, so we only can fly if we can see that 5 miles or 3 miles during the day or night. And if we punch into the clouds, we have emergency procedures on how to get back to the ground safely, but we can't take a flight knowing we'll go into the clouds. So, yeah, I've learned so much about aviation in the last 4 years.
Oh, sure.
It is very.
do you guys have to learn even like different airspace and like looking at aviation charts and stuff? And
Yep.
do you know able to read NOTAMs and all that stuff? And-
Some, yes. So, yep. I've learned a lot about what are the charts at the? I'll think of it. But yeah, so I know different like airspaces, classes. So Sioux City's not that busy of an airspace. Omaha's pretty busy. But when we go up to Minneapolis, holy buckets.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah.
Luckily, most of my Minneapolis flights have been like 2 to 4 in the morning. But I couldn't imagine going there during the day. Class A, I think. A is the highest, and then it goes down from there.
Yep.
But no, approach plates, that's what I was looking. So I've learned how to read approach plates and the different kind of navigation to land you. So you can do an ILS, is which the helicopter or the airplane attaches onto the airport's landing system, or you can do a GPS landing where the GPS will land you. So I've learned about those different kind of approaches that are basically an autopilot to the ground and so forth like that.
Yeah.
So.
Crazy.
Yeah. And then the pilots, they have all the training if, let's say, all those systems were down.
Oh yeah.
they-
Yep. They have a lot more training than we do
Gotcha.
on those things.
You're talking about your night, you guys, the night vision systems
Yeah.
that you guys wear. Are those the newer, like, I can't think of what type of light it is, but it's like a black and white versus the green?
No, we do not have the
More
white
of an
phosphorus.
IR.
White
Yep,
phosphorus,
yep,
yes.
yep. No, ours are not white phosphorus. They're still the green.
Okay.
Yep.
I figured.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need some of those, by the way, Baker.
They are.
Ba- Baker's
I'm gonna
got
need a link.
section.
We should like do one show like just in the dark. It would just wear nods the whole time.
That would be fun.
Yeah, headache.
The only headache is
Baker,
the
are yours
weight.
more IR, or are they just straight up nods? Come on in. You're a nerd for this stuff.
Yeah.
For hunting. Do you use them?
No,
People,
he's
hunting
just,
people.
He's just a dork.
Protection of property. The white phosphorus are pretty nice.
The way to
Oh,
go.
they're great.
Oh, yeah.
Different
yeah.
settings and stuff on yours.
You can
For
Clearer.
you can
sensitivity
see
and-
the room like we're seeing it right now, just not It's
Ink.
like black and white. But then the green ones, it's like they're garbage.
Green ones are basically like a reflection of light, right? And your
Yep.
white phosphorus are showing what naturally emits light. Is that kind of
They both kind of work the same way. It's a lot easier for the eye to see
just the
white
black
than
and
green.
white? Yep.
Yeah.
That's why we use those for our thermal imaging,
Yep.
like
Oh,
for
okay.
our cameras for
Oh,
fire. It's
yes.
always usually based white, hot, black not. So
Gotcha.
it's
Yep.
just
Yep, and that's kind of how ours, like, water doesn't reflect light as well, so water looks black in our green. And if
Perfect.
it's a full moon out, you can see everything. It's like it's daylight time.
Yeah.
If it's no moonlight, it's a little more difficult to see things. But you can still see things pretty well. But
sure.
And the stars. Oh, like you're flying along on a dead leg and night vision goggles looking at the stars. You never imagine there's that many stars actually out
That's
there.
so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, picking
Yeah.
all them up. Yeah.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
cool.
So what you do is very exciting.
is.
Yeah.
There's no, we haven't really talked about that. Between transfers and then scene calls, any calls that stand out, whether they, that just,
Oh, yeah, I couldn't. I
I don't know.
was thinking
I'm
about
sure,
this.
I'm sure that's
yeah.
when you tell people what you do or they talk about, they want to hear some stories.
Oh, yeah.
I guess if there's any you want to talk about, or
Sure,
memorable calls that stand out in your career with Wings.
I would say, kind of, we talked about that, like that transition of not being a bedside nurse, being more of a scene nurse. I remember, it was probably about 2 years in. I was actually training a medic, and we were in his kind of service area that he came from. But we had a patient that had been drinking, and he was ejected from his vehicle, and he's in a ditch. And so it's July. I remember it's hot in a ditch. We have like chest high weeds, and for some reason this patient's butt naked. I don't know why. So, and about 300 pounds. So it was big,
course.
big
They always
naked,
are.
big naked guy, and like
In a ditch.
in a ditch.
And
Yep.
and then
And and so we're
I didn't know you met Phil before.
sorry.
300
We're
pounds.
sorry. This is off the rails. Let her talk.
a different Phil.
Yeah.
Let her
Oh,
talk.
okay. But
That's because the
I-
radio knobs were dirty. Ended up getting in the ditch
I
somehow.
was cleaning.
I was cleaning this, and then I needed
And I got
another
hot.
cleaning rag, so I needed my shirt, and then
just
it's just pretty soon you're in the ditch,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Soon
Our
we're in
heads
the
are in the
ditch.
ditch.
And so the EMS that for some reason they were unable to get a backboard under this patient yet at all. So there's nothing, and he's in full C-spine precautions and so forth in a wake, but just naked. So I remember we're working on him, kneeling in this ditch, and I'm still getting used to these scene calls. And then this nice lady comes up behind me and touches my shoulder, and I'm like, I look back, I'm like, oh, did you need something? She's like, no, there was just a bunch of spiders on you. I'm like, oh my god. I don't like spiders. I'm like, focus.
yeah.
It's like, I was like, oh.
You're like, get me back to the hospital
I said,
now.
I need to get out of this ditch. And I looked at my medic partner. I'm like, I'm going to be honest. I don't know how to get this to the helicopter. Tell me what to do. Like, I don't. Big naked guy. How do we get him on a board? How do we? Anyway, so they helped me out. But
That's
that
awesome.
was the one I learned. I was like, I'm still a very much bedside nurse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like when we go into an ambulance. They're already in an ambulance on a
Right.
on a backboard, and yes. But so that was my most humbling. I'm still a bedside nurse flight. My other memorable flights, though, I've really learned to love trauma. And I think when you know that your fast response and interventions made the difference of life or death, I think that's just very, very cool. What we do does have a benefit, and not just a cool ride, but to
Absolutely.
make,
Yeah,
make the difference.
Absolutely. That's they're out in the middle of nowhere. Without
Yep.
you guys, a lot of people wouldn't have the chances that they have.
Yep. And
Ground,
I think,
whatever. That
Yeah,
gets them point A to point B in a certain
Yeah.
amount of time. But like you guys, literally, time saves lives. So like,
Yeah.
you're in that golden hour all the time.
All the
when
time.
you're going out. So it's
Yeah.
like
yeah.
it's
so
make or break with you guys.
just even to bring the blood, just being able to
Yeah.
bring the blood to the traumas, and so forth. And we have great relationships with some of our further east, like Storm Lake, Holstein, and such, where if they're having a heart attack, they recognize it. They don't go to their local hospital. They start heading into Sioux City, and then
Yep.
we'll meet them halfway and then continue the flight faster.
Awesome.
Just to get them
That's
in there
awesome
as soon
to
as
have.
we can. Yep. So there's a lot of things like that we can really
Yeah.
help with. So.
Yeah.
Because like the city, Sioux City, we're kind of like 11,000, 12,000 runs this year.
Yeah, we'll probably
it's
get
safe
like
to say
12.
all those runs are not true 911 emergencies.
Mm-hmm.
However, if they're gonna, who determines this is flight worthy?
Nobody does. If
Okay.
we're requested, we're there to serve. And
Would
we'll
you
go.
say a large majority of the time it was flight worthy?
I would say so. And then a lot of times, and we even put that out there, that even if it's an ALS run, you don't have a ground, they need to go. Like, we offer our services even if it's an ALS run, and they get charged an ALS fee if it's just for ALS, just to get them where they need to be. So,
That's
but I
it.
would say, yeah, it's probably usually 75 to 80% worthy or
Yeah.
Well, you're
critical
talking
care.
you're talking trauma. That's probably a majority of what you're going to is trauma.
on scene wise, yeah.
Yeah,
Traumas
for sure.
or strokes or STEMIs are
Sure.
most of our scenes.
But that's a good way to different way to look at it though. Is as far as what you're going on for a call, like like if they're calling for us, like
It's
it's a bad day, right?
Yeah.
bad.
It's not
Yeah.
like getting called at 3
Yeah.
o'clock in the morning for
Yeah.
somebody that just like
I've had toe pain the last 3
my
weeks.
toe hurts today and I need to go, or just a lift assist. You're not
Yeah.
there is, and not that we lack compassion for everybody or empathy for anybody, because
Yeah.
if they're calling 911, you'd assume it's an emergency, but it's a different emergency for you guys, like
'Cause
that's
there's
because
a-
they're calling
there's a-
because there's a
yeah.
need to get somebody to a hospital fast enough that you got to call something that flies in the air to
Yeah,
come
for
and
sure.
get them. We can't spend the time to ground transport them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and then
it's
you're
a-
also you're kind of like triaging the area where if we go on a run and it's a BS run, it's 30 minutes and it's not the end of the world, and we'll have another ambulance. We have plenty of reserve rigs, but
Right.
if you go on a flight because maybe a county fire department thought this was something big and maybe it wasn't, but then all of a sudden you have like a PEDS transfer from Sioux City to Omaha that was really important. Now all of a sudden,
Yep.
yeah,
We-
staying
yeah.
in service is important. It's not a 30-minute turnaround.
Yeah. And I think that's where we lean on our other services in town as well. If
Okay.
we're out on somewhere, and hopefully our company in town here can help us out there. I think what helps is with some of those is a trained person requests us. It's not just
Yes.
Right.
the
Yeah.
person itself calling 911 can call Wings.
Yeah.
It's you guys or
Somebody that like
City
legit
Fire,
recognizes the need for
yeah,
it.
the hospital, the ground, sheriff,
Yep.
so forth like that have recognized. And that's the other thing too. We have some automatic discharge or dispatches
Yeah,
as
I was
well.
gonna ask, yeah,
yep.
do you
So
guys
we
have
we
one?
can be southern South Dakota, some in Woodbury County and other surrounding counties. If it's a call in for a MVA, we can get automatically dispatched, and we always can get canceled too. There's nothing wrong with us
that's-
getting
yeah.
up in the air, and then once ground crews get on the ground, like, oh, this accident's not as bad as what we foreseed it. We don't need you. And we're like, all right, have a great day, and we just go back to base.
Yeah.
So there's quite a few of those where we take off and we come right back.
How do the communications work with people on the ground?
We have 800 radios and VHF radios inside the helicopter, and we have all the programmed. I have like a sheet because I can't remember them all.
We can't remember.
Yeah,
ours,
so I have
it's-
I have a sheet
I'm
of,
sure you.
of what town is what frequency, and just talk to them over the radio.
So pilots are normally talking to law enforcement or fire chief?
Nope. It's usually the med crew in the back, and the pilots talk with our communication center and airports and stuff, basically, and then the
Okay.
med crew does all the.
So it's
talking.
you would like the pilots aren't sitting there talking to anyone on the ground directly.
No, that's
okay.
usually the med crew. We all can hear the same conversation, so.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
But no,
know
we're
that.
trained to, because we ask the medical questions. Like, the main thing we want to know is the weight.
Yep.
It's the most important thing is the weight, and then go from there. And the landing zone, I guess. I mean, that's always important.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you guys run? Ben mentioned something. I said PEDS transfers and stuff. Do you guys
Yeah.
run a lot of PEDS, or is that more children's coming up and
It
taking them?
depends. We've had some more. Like, I haven't seen it as bad this year yet. Last year, early, the RSV was terrible last year. So we had quite a bit of RSV. We've had quite a few this year as well. So restriction-wise, if it's a scene, it doesn't matter the size of the patient. We'll fly them unless it was freshly born. We don't do that. But otherwise, our litter system, our securing device, our limit is 3 kilograms.
Okay.
And so we can fly 3 kilograms up to 450 pounds.
Sure. You're like, it's okay. I don't need to take neonates in the helicopter.
No,
right?
no, neonates are, like we
No, it's-
have the training for NRP and
Absolutely,
fresh
yeah.
babies. while we call a neonate team to come help us.
Right on.
Yeah, and
Gotcha.
those gals from Children's.
I was gonna
and
say,
stuff,
it's
they're pretty
children-
Yeah.
they're
children's
pretty squared
All
away
those
when they-
26 weeker, like,
They can go ahead and have that.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Thank you.
saying,
when
oh,
they
you
come
can.
up and do our training. Those
Yeah.
those scouts
That's
that work
such a-
down there are like
That's always
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
They
they scare me.
they know what they're
So
doing.
Yeah, they're
training there.
Yes.
Let's bring that up.
Yeah.
What does that look like for you guys? Like just scheduled trainings and required
Yes.
trainings?
all the
What is it?
time.
Yeah.
So certification wise, we have to have BLS, ACLS, PALS, NRP. We have a TPATC, which is an advanced trauma training. And then we have PTATC, which is a pediatric trauma training. And so those are the certifications that we have to carry. And then
Is that like American Heart as well, or is it
I'm
some
not
other?
sure who puts on the TPATC. But we have to fly to Denton for that every 4 years. Is where we get that trauma training. And then so those are the certifications that we have to have with our flight certification. And then we have monthly meetings. And we kind of rotate. 1 month we'll have chart reviews and kind of go through some interesting charts or flights that we've had. And then I'm the educator there for wings, and so then the next meeting I'll do an education topic.
Oh,
so it's
cool.
usually 6 educations a year, and then we have 4 simulations a year as well.
Okay.
Nice.
And so our first semester is usually first quarter is online. We kind of do an online with all the people in the company, and then we use the sim bus 3
Right
times
on.
a year. Yep.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep. So sim bus has been amazing,
Isn't it?
Oh, we
yeah,
love the
that's
sim
pretty
bus.
cool.
Yeah.
It's that next level up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's good training and stuff.
We just had
with us,
the. I just had
come down there.
my pals review
Oh.
update, and the mannequins we have now. I mean, your baby's crying,
Oh,
turning blue
yep,
and stuff.
yep.
And you're like, dude, this is so
Yeah.
this is so cool. It's
Those-
amazing to
Those
see
high
how far.
fidelity mannequins.
It's
just
calm.
good.
What's nice with doing training with wings versus going to other places is we're providing the equipment and kind of helping with the critique, but you guys are doing the training. So from the perspective of being the proctor, the trainer and stuff, it's nice working with you guys. Plus you feed us pretty good too when we come down for that. They put on the full
Now I
Yeah.
know why you're
everything.
doing it.
That's why Phil
Um,
does it.
Yep, exactly. No, but it's kind of it's a neat partnership because it from working fire and then seeing what you guys do with the air crews and just the knowledge that you guys have and how the teams and the groups work together and stuff. It's kind of cool to see that a different side or different
Absolutely,
perspective
yeah.
to
cool.
really the same job. It's all that pre-hospital stuff, but
Yep.
it's just it's advanced care and stuff. So no, you guys are like. It's crazy. Like you guys are, just spitting stuff out and just the advanced level of stuff that you guys can do. It's very impressive.
It is, like I was saying, I think our only restriction is that under 3 kilogram patient. There's not any diagnosis is that we don't fly. We fly high risk OB. We're trained in high risk OB patients and pediatrics and
Again,
adults.
yuck. No, I'm just
Yeah, I know. I know. No babies can be born in the helicopter. That's for sure.
Right.
We're highly trained. No one can die in the helicopter. No one can be born in a helicopter.
We're gonna
FAA
secure you
rules.
so you
Yeah,
can't have a baby in here.
We always do, though, give the pilots a hard time because that area is right next to the pilot
Right
up
next
there.
to 'em, like,
right
that's-
next to
that's
him.
your that's
Yeah.
your
Can
duty,
you,
bud.
can you fly and catch at the same time?
Put
Yeah.
that thing on autopilot.
Auto-
You're catching.
Co-pilot.
You're catching. He's like, nope, I'm landing.
Yeah, right.
really fast.
Yeah.
So
Which
you're-
they would land really fast.
Your ACLS and your PALS, you
Yes.
do all that through the organization or through the hospital?
Nope, through the organization. We actually just started where we rolled out ours base is the first base in the company to get RQI.
Okay.
So we have our own RQI mannequin at the base, and we
Cool.
just do RQI at the base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we are the first base actually to do our NRP on RQI as well. So we
Nice.
do ACLS, BLS, PALS, and NRP on the RQI mannequin.
Nice.
Phil, so when you come down there, they feed you pretty good.
Yeah.
You guys, cook up and out the base and
yeah,
kind of do
so-
what we do at the firehouse.
Yep. So I would say for meeting wise, they usually bring in some food for the meeting
Sure.
wise. But as partners and such, yeah, like we plan and just cook meals for everybody and have family dinners usually every shift. At least, yeah, usually every shift.
That's
So
awesome.
We take turns. Somebody will make breakfast. We usually skip lunch, have a snack, and then somebody makes dinner.
So
That
cool.
seems about how
Yeah.
things go. How many flights do you think you guys run a day? Average day.
Average. So I would say through the year between maintenance, weather, and such, we're about 1.5 flights a day.
Okay.
So I think,
That's still pretty busy.
yeah, it's still
Especially when you consider we
Right,
have
well,
2
'cause-
services right here in
Yeah.
town.
Right.
That's
Well,
busy.
and a flight's not like 30 minutes or an hour.
No.
I mean, by
Yeah.
the time
No.
you know, flight, transport to hospital, this
Yeah.
paperwork, and I mean, it's
Oh goodness, yeah.
Yeah.
I think our fastest flight is Winnebago to Mercy or so, and that's still about hour and 15 out of base. So
Sure.
about an hour and 15 minutes we're back to base, and then it doesn't matter how sick or not sick the patient is. The charting still
Oh yeah.
a good
I'm-
hour to 3-4 hours.
What do you guys use for charting?
Image trend.
Okay, I've heard of that.
Yep. It's nice. I don't have a trouble with it. I guess just
Right
get
on.
used to it. But
Is that similar to what you used in the hospital? You okay?
No, I don't know. I just,
We're
gonna
We can fly you somewhere.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
might need to.
I'll
still
calm
got
down.
some of
I
that
know who's
ocean
on it.
air in his lungs or something like
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this guy just got back from a cruise.
oh, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It's really
sucks.
back to
you
rough.
do you look quite tan.
Thank
And
you.
fatter.
Yeah,
I said.
I did.
Tanner and fatter. You did it right. Good job,
I
Bev.
ate like a death row inmate for 7 days. It was stupid.
Good for you.
Someone
and then
makes,
someone dropped
makes
off
food for me.
Yeah, someone dropped off 4 cheesecakes at the station. I'm not
Yep.
complaining
Yeah,
about it,
um,
but they were so good.
If anyone can find out who that was,
Yeah.
we need to get back.
Jen
and-
knows because
We were
that's
just
Jen
talking
called
about
me
it.
the one day and said, "Hey, somebody's dropping some cheesecakes."
Because
I
was-
like,
that
okay.
was
Best cheesecake
best
I've ever
cheesecake I've ever had.
Oh, was that homemade or in a box?
Yeah,
It was homemade.
They look
And
like homemade. Yep.
She must have done it for every station.
Yeah.
Got 4
So-
cheesecakes, huh?
Dexter
Yeah.
ate half a cheesecake by himself, like one.
You
one
guys are
sitting.
good. Your shift. You guys are good for desserts. Dexter's a dessert.
That checks
like,
out.
Guy.
He
Oh
will
my
eat
God.
like a 4-year-old's portion at supper.
Yeah.
And I'll bust his balls for it. But then he'll go eat 3 desserts.
Yeah.
It's funny.
There's always ice cream bars, everything like Dexter. Like there's always something.
There you go.
for that
Do you
shit.
guys have like an in-house snack commissary type deal, or are you
No,
kind of
not
just
really.
on your own for everything?
Kind of. We bring our own food in every shift. and
Okay.
then, like you said, if you pre-plan with your partner to, hey, I'm going to bring this for dinner, you bring this for breakfast, and so forth.
Say it's the cause of the most bitching, but the cause of the most like happiness in the firehouse. In the same token, is having that commissary thing. So
Yeah.
like, it's kind of like a double-edged sword for sure. But
Yeah, you get
I just
reliant on
didn't
it.
know.
Yeah, Dexter will buy a thing of ice cream
Back to
every
Dexter.
time we go to the store.
Yep.
And I'm like, we have stuff back. Oh, I'll get something.
Yeah. There's
I
always
don't know.
stuff.
I shouldn't be complaining, but
Yeah, or a box of the Oreo ice cream bar things or something. There's always something in there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you guys do special stuff for holidays down there? If you're working holidays?
Yes. Yep. They cater in food for every holiday.
Whoa,
So Thanksgiving.
really?
Yeah. So
That's awesome.
So for whoever's on shift, they get catered meals for
Yeah.
Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Can we get better benefits? Nope. Here's a pizza party.
No, but here's a pizza party.
can't
At least
go wrong.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, catered Domino's on Thanksgiving. No, I'm
Sick.
kidding.
Whatever.
Whatever.
you said-
Food.
Right.
There's three of you on shift at
Correct.
a time.
Yes.
3. So the pilot and your nurse and your medic.
Yep.
So
and then,
then occasionally,
a
if
trainer.
you're a trainer or
Yep.
something, if you needed.
Yes.
So 3.
Yep. And then we'll have 2 pilots in the 24 hours. So
Got some pretty good cooks down there.
yeah, I think so. Some are better at grilling. One's really good at breakfast. I'm the dinner maker.
Right on.
Not
Okay.
the griller, but we have an old grill. We need to get a smoker. Like we're still gradually like getting new things for the base. So it's not our space. So we rent the
Right.
hangar
Right.
from the airport. So
Yeah.
it's not our
Is it?
space.
I guess just being there a little bit and kind of seeing the layout. Is the upstairs is where like is that where the bunks are and stuff, or is that like a
That's
lounge?
just the pilots area.
That's just the pilots
Yep.
area.
So
They have their own area, and then you guys are.
we're in
downstairs.
that back behind the hangar
Okay.
row of things. We each have a bedroom and then an office and a supply room.
Cool.
Back there.
Yeah.
We rent out.
I was just gonna ask that.
Yeah.
So like restocking drugs, all that, is that done through any pharmacy, or do you guys have a?
Nope, we have a account with. I'm trying to think of the name of the company, but
Sure.
nope, we just order everything and
Was
have
like
it on stock.
like Boundtree.
Okay.
Like
Yeah,
you know,
something
like
like-
where we
Something.
do something.
Okay.
Yep. So we have an ordering system, and we try to get Katrina to take it over because our guy just left that ordered things, and she.
I think
said
she
no.
did it here. when
She
was
did do it here, and
Put it-
she
yeah,
said she's
little
not
bit.
doing it again.
Yeah, that's an either you like doing it or absolutely hate
Well,
it.
it's
It's
I'm
just
sure.
it's not the
So-
volume that we were doing that she was doing here. You know. It's,
Yeah,
it's a
no,
little
it's
bit-
and it's
less
definitely not.
stuff.
It's more to keeping track of outdates and such. 'cause
Sure.
We have. You need it when you need it. You need it, but
right.
we don't
But you
use it
guys
very
just don't
often.
go through it
That's
as
okay.
Yeah.
much.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's a good problem. to have.
Yes. So.
Yeah.
So a lot of those things are you have to make sure it expires. Like our OB kits are Esmolol. A lot
Sure.
of if you need it, you need it, but we don't use
Because
it flavor out.
because plastic expires, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it
Yep.
does.
In a sealed package.
In a sealed package.
Out of the elements.
Are the-
So then I take it home and can treat the horses and cows with it.
What? No, that doesn't happen. That does not happen.
There you go. You said you did first kid in 2015.
No, my first child.
Yeah.
It's her birthday today, actually.
Hey, happy birthday.
2012. My 11-year-old. Yep.
Okay, 11.
Yep.
Is
11 and 8.
And then 8. So what do they
Cool.
think about mom flying in
Oh,
helicopters?
they love it.
That's gotta be
Yep.
rad.
So
Yeah.
yep, they actually got. I think it was when you were there. They just got to go on a flight.
Yep,
for,
they did. Yeah, and then we got to go on a flight too. Doug was like,
Oh, yeah.
Doug was like a little kid, just like he's like just kind of hey, hi, you know. So Doug did get us a flight the last time we were down there with the sim bus. And stuff.
Cool.
Oh yeah, because each of my kids moulaged up for that sim. So,
Yeah.
so since I moulaged them up, they got to
Yep,
go up
they
on
got
a
a
flight.
ride.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep. So
fun.
they love it. They're used to mom being gone for 24 hours, home for a couple days, and so. But,
Cool.
Yeah,
But no, they love it. They think it's cool.
yeah.
They're like, Mom,
should.
was that
They
your,
should think
was
it's
that,
cool.
Yeah.
Was that your helicopter? I'm like, I don't. Yes, maybe.
Yeah.
Be like,
Well, it's
every
kinda- you know, it's
helicopter you
kinda
see-
unique,
Every
'cause, I mean,
helicopter is me.
That's me.
you know, you got a lot of. I mean, with our department, with you got whether it's, you could have EMS and, Division 2, 150 people, and it's like everybody's got kids. While I mean, there's a lot more. That's a pretty unique thing to be like, well, my mom's. She
flight
flies in a
nurse.
helicopter,
Yeah.
because it's a smaller,
Right.
A bunch of people.
It is,
so
yeah,
that
a little
is
bit
pretty
smaller.
Cool. Yeah. That's
Community
pretty cool.
within a
That's pretty-
community.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome.
I like it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
You guys do conferences or anything?
Conference.
Any of you like go out to, I don't know, IAMSA or any of that stuff?
Oh,
or
yes. Yep. I've gone to a couple. I went to CCTMC, Critical Care Transfer Conference. I went to that the last 2 years. Went to a safety conference in Des Moines earlier this year. I'm planning on going to CCTMC again in April, I think.
Good one, then?
Yeah, it's a pretty good one. I really enjoy that one. And
Does that
yeah,
just cover different topics, or is
yeah,
it all?
yeah, it's more flight directed, but
Cool.
definitely, yeah,
Cool.
critical care transport. So yeah, that one will be in Orange Beach, Alabama this year. So a lot of go to
Right
the
on.
beach in April.
Is that Gulf
too.
side then?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
that's very
Yeah.
nice. Look at
Sold.
Oh, it's a nice area.
Sold.
Oh yeah, it's on this resort. Yeah, last year was in Denver, and that was still fun.
also
but,
cool.
Yeah, but so
Hey,
Nice.
Just because between aviation and medical, do you guys do any training with the military?
not normally, no.
Okay.
We actually, I take that back. They had some Black Hawks that were doing training in Homer, and we had to be there in case anyone got injured. They were doing some drowning scenarios and lifting them out of in the baskets up into the Black Hawks and stuff. So
Yep.
we were there to assist,
Okay.
but
Do you-
watch. But so yeah, we were
You
there.
guys
to
get
sit by.
paid for like doing standbys places?
No.
No.
No, we don't.
That's just kind of like a unique thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I just they're gonna call us again someday, and we'll get paid that day. But
Okay.
Like you get paid, but the service.
oh yeah. No, but yeah, we don't get
No, yeah, I know
reimbursed.
what
with
you
I didn't know
fuel.
what you meant.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Yes.
Just clarify.
Yep. So
Pretty
yes.
general language there.
Yes. No. If we don't make patient contacts, there's no payment. So,
Okay.
but
So going forward with Ronnie, as far as like your career and stuff,
Oh,
what
yeah.
are you? I mean, are you thinking, plug into this? I like this flight gig. This is what I want to do. Or are you thinking nurse practitioner at some point, or moving on? I mean, what's kind of like future plans for you? Because
yeah, I not for sure. Nurse practitioner is something that I think I would enjoy at some point, but I'm in no rush for it. I don't think. I definitely can see another 10, 15 years in flight. So,
Awesome.
yeah. So we'll see. But
Yeah.
Very cool.
or then maybe that time I'll go back to bedside. I'm not sure.
Right.
I have a love for cardiac as well, and I've never worked in like a open heart ICU either. So that might be something down the road too that I want to.
because
jump into.
because of the job, like your nursing and the experience you have, is that something? If someday you'd ever decide, I mean, is it easy to go back into ICU then?
Oh, yeah.
Get back into critical care and everything.
Yeah. And I keep all that up to date. Like I said, I do
Right.
a shift usually a week at St. Luke's in
Anyways.
either the ER or the ICU, cath lab, or somewhere around there. So.
Yeah. And just staying around the area too. Nothing, not like,
Yeah,
oh,
no.
I love this flight gig, but that down in Texas is like they do this and this, and it'd be cool to go there. But no, it's just kind of.
Not at this time, yeah. Like I said, my kids are still young and in school, so
Yeah.
I will be definitely in this area until they both graduate. I did travel when my kids were younger. I did some travel nursing gigs, which was a lot of fun, and that's probably on this question of my hobbies. Is we do a lot of traveling. That's our
Yeah,
that's our family hobby. So
Yeah.
so
What's your traveling around? What's your kind of like your favorite place or your kids' favorite place? Where do you guys like to go?
So that first summer after COVID, where I had to take that month off, we've been doing road trips. So my husband will
Awesome.
build a new vehicle for every road trip so far that we've been on, and 2 years we've tented. We did have a kind of a pickup camper one time, but
Nice.
we go on like these 5,500 mile road trips. And
Wow.
So more of
When you say
like
build
that.
a vehicle,
Yeah, he
how do we
puts
build a vehicle?
restores, I should say.
Okay.
Like our first year, we were in this 80s 2-door bright orange Malibu, which I was not a fan of, but the bright orange. But and so he restored that and got that one ready. And then the next year we had his.
So he sells it when he's done.
He did sell that one thing because yes.
Thank God, she says.
Yeah, he sold that one, and then but he has all the others now. So we had 88 to 90. It's a couple different years of a truck put together, and that's what we took on the other 2 trips. But
Gotcha.
Well, that's cool.
and then now this year he has I think it's a 67 Nova 2 or Chevy 2 that we'll take on this next vacation this summer. But,
Very cool.
so yeah,
A lot of
he's
road
big car
trips.
guy. Yeah. So
What-
yeah,
is that what he does? Works in
yeah.
automotive?
He works for himself. So he builds race car chassis, builds race car bodies, mechanical work, metal.
Up in Jefferson, that's
Yep.
probably pretty good.
Yep. Oh yeah. He just and then he just opened a dyno. He his only dyno.
Oh,
yeah. So he
hey.
has a full functioning dyno room now. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, he works from home and
Yeah.
does those things.
Cool.
I think they're like
Take the taco up there and get it dyno.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That probably works well, with your schedule though. Where the 24th.
I think
you
it's the
can-
only
you-
way it would work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With having
Sure.
kids and such.
Yes. Yep. So yeah, we've never had daycare, and it worked where back when I did 12-hour shifts on nights I would have the kids these days, and he would work on my days off, and then I would work, and he would have that day off per se. So no daycare, and then once they went into school full time, it was like a game changer. Like it's like a
Yeah,
own
yeah.
daycare. Like what is
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
Where do you, so when you guys road trip, I mean, where do you like to go? Like, Pacific Northwest? Do you like down south, East Coast? Like where's, or is it just like, yeah, we're gonna just, that's where we're
We've-
gonna go.
We've done it that
way.
way before. So our first trip in 21 was the West Coast. We covered the entire West Coast. And then the next year we did the southeast corner and did the Smoky Mountains and all that area. Last summer we just spent the entire time in the Grand Tetons in Yellowstone and Colorado.
Awesome.
And so this upcoming summer we're doing the Northeast. So after this summer my kids will
cool.
have been to all 48
Oh,
states.
yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And myself as well. There's
Yeah.
a few states that I haven't been in the Northeast yet, but so yeah, they'll be all 48, right?
Who's
Yeah.
the, who's
Crazy,
the big, who's the big planner of the stops, the hotels, and all that?
Well, we don't. We
Okay.
we try
Oh.
not to plan. So
Really?
we
That's
kind of
even
have
cooler.
we
That's
have a
just-
generalized
Route.
route
Yeah.
kind of, but
Yeah.
Just rolling with the punches.
That
yeah,
is so cool.
Yeah, last summer I had to plan because it is the prime time for like Yellowstone and so forth. So campgrounds and such I had to plan a little ahead, but other than that, we
Wow.
don't.
So you're
Don't do
doing like
anything ahead of time.
you're doing non-dispersed camping,
Yeah.
all that stuff when you go.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yep.
cool.
We do
Awesome.
tents, yeah. We like I said, 2 of the trips were fully tents, and then we had a pickup camper once, but like the backup.
Sweet.
But
So when you guys go, is the kind of the plan to drive, stay, and if you're in a cool location, maybe stay there for 2 or 3 days?
yeah, we
then
try
pack up
to.
and move?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of. I know. Usually, I get 3 or 4 weeks off of work, and I save up all my vacation for the summer that 1 month, and then, yeah, we kind of know we need to be at a certain point at the halfway mark or so forth, and
Mm-hmm.
make it work. But to see the things that we want to see, but like I'll do some googling or Pinteresting of the highlights of the areas
Yeah.
what we
Sure.
want to
yeah.
see. But
Hit it quick and
yeah.
move it on.
That's
Well-
sometimes I think the best like vacations almost when it's
I
just
feel like
so
people
random.
used to
like
do that
I'm,
a lot
Yeah.
more too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
I'm
made
such
movie
a
about it.
what-
Vacation.
Vacation.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 Right.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And then they quit doing it.
Yeah.
Saw that one.
I can't like I tell you what the one time
Swing and a miss.
my
Yeah, give me a laugh soundtrack, right?
usually I'm a hotel like this I have to plan all that stuff,
Not
and
you.
be
That
like
else.
yeah. But one of the best trips I had was when my kid and I when we went out to get my Jeep, we flew out to Leesburg, Virginia, and to pick up my Wrangler and drove it home. And that was like I had an idea we were going to try to make it to this spot, but all the things like we saw along the way that we didn't even know were
There.
we went to Gettysburg. We were like 10 minutes from
Yeah, you
Gettysburg,
gotta
and we were
do
like,
that, right?
Oh,
I
we
guess
better
we're
go
going to
there.
get.
Yeah.
Wasn't planned. I guess we're going to Gettysburg. The National Fire Academy was. I mean, we passed like the road to the National Fire Academy. Like, I didn't know we were here. So I'm like, we swerved in there. Unfortunately, it was still like they were shut down still for COVID, so we couldn't even. I couldn't
Oh,
even
okay.
get in to
Onto
see
the
the fall,
campus.
I couldn't even
Yeah.
get to see the fallen firefighters. I just wanted to see that part of it. I
Yeah.
couldn't even get there. But the Indianapolis Raceway, it was right before. It was a couple weeks before Indianapolis 500, so there's all
Oh,
kinds of
wow.
activity
Cool.
there. We driving through mountains, like all this stuff that we went and saw the world's largest wooden nickel, which is in Iowa, in case you didn't know.
I did not know that.
They
Yeah.
have that and the popcorn ball.
Yep.
And you guys saw that, didn't you?
Oh, Sac City?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've been there a couple times. Going to
Right on,
Fort
man.
Dodge. They're like,
Yeah.
going for games and stuff. Yeah, you got to stop and see that thing at least once. You know,
You
we've
gotta.
been there a couple times, but yeah, large wooden nickel.
Put it on my
It's
list.
Do it right now.
I think it's still east of Grinnell and stuff, but it's just
Yes, yeah.
like you take just a little road and and you're kind of looking for it and you're like, oh, there's a parking lot there, and you're like,
American
oh, there it is.
Gothic.
Yeah,
Did you guys
I
ever
mean,
stop
no,
there? No. Oh,
but I mean,
gotta
but
stop
it's kind
there.
of like,
Put that on.
but any of that stuff though, that's kind of the fun way to do it. It's like, you just Google like, oh, it's 10 miles out of the way. Well, I guess we're gonna
Gotta
go there
go now,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's kind of
Oh,
a fun
and
way to do
yeah.
it.
But I will say, I'm usually the navigator. My husband always drives. But we've had some big oops, like.
Oh boy,
this
you're gonna hit a soft
non-planning-
spot for me.
Yeah,
This non-planning.
My wife, your turn was back there. That would have been good to know like 5 miles ago.
yeah.
5 miles. Oh man, I'm talking like hundreds of miles.
Oh no, it gets us out of the way. But like, I should have known that.
This John
5 miles
Denver's
back.
full of crap, man. He's like,
on our
I thought
west
the Rockies would be more rocky, right?
Right.
on our West Coast trip, we had been to the south rim of the Grand Canyon. I wanted to go to the north rim of the Grand Canyon, so we stayed in Vegas the night before, and then we were going to the Grand Canyon. Then I wanted to go to the southern Utah area. We're going to Moab and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, we'll go to the Grand Canyon, and then we'll go up to Utah. I didn't look at a map, no plans. So we get to the Grand Canyon. Terrible thunderstorm. Actually, it was closed, like the glass walkway. We didn't even get to do the glass walkway. We were downpoured on. We were soaked. We were all wet. So I get back to the car to get the route to Utah. And did you know there is no road to Utah at all?
No.
We had to go back to Vegas
Oh,
and all the way
and
around.
all the way back and around.
Yep. Yeah, it was like a 7-hour detour.
Yeah.
Oh,
And we could have gone to Flagstaff too, but it was the
yeah,
same distance.
but still,
so we-
that's
yeah.
like that's a miserable detour. That's like,
Yeah, it was a bad
You're
detour.
like,
It was
ugh.
like, I was like,
But you know what? But those are stories like
it was
you'll
fun
never
stories.
not. Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll
Right,
always tell
yeah.
that story, right? That'll
Yeah.
always be a memory and stuff for
Like-
the kids too. That's something when
yeah.
they're older with their kids, and they'll be like, "Yeah, we remember these trips we used to take with mom and dad all the time, and they drive us all over
All
the
over.
place, and like take a wrong turn, and like 10 hours later, we're like, oh, we should have
oh yeah.
gone the other way, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh,
where
yeah.
we
No.
crossed a mountain range. Like,
Yeah.
the quickest route was take a left here and 40-mile dirt road.
Yeah. Probably good. No,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's been fun. But
So if you had, let's say, a 2-year nurse or a 2-year paramedic
Yes.
that wanted to, get into flight, what advice would you give them? Or maybe they were just starting in flight. What advice would you give them?
oh goodness, I think my biggest advice is never stop learning. You have to. I will teach you. Someone can come to me and I will educate you on anything that you want to know. But I think you have to have that drive to continue self-educating yourself as well. Continuously want to get better. If you don't have that drive, I don't think you'll be successful. Because as we all know, medicine is continuously changing as well. So to be successful in this business, you have to stay current on the newest practices and the newest things out there, and just continue to learn. I think would be my biggest advice. And also in ours, we guide our guidelines basically. So we do the research, and so we can bring the research to our medical director and be like, hey, this study just came out. This looks like what's best practice now. He'll do a little research, read what research we gave to him, and if he agrees, we can change our guidelines. So we have that power, and it's empowering that we can keep up with best practice pretty easily with our medical director on.
Is your
The care
medical
that-
director close?
Yeah, is he at the
physically?
hospital or is it with the company?
It's Dr. Scott Murray in Cherokee
Okay.
is our medical director. So he is our adult medical director, I should say. We have a neonate, Dr. Fleming here in Sioux City.
Oh, yeah.
Is our neonatal medical director, but
Yeah, he's an adult that is a doctor of kids. He's not
Correct.
a kid himself.
not a kid himself.
It's not Doogie Howser.
Yeah.
MD.
It's an adult doctor.
Yes, adult doctor. No, I'm sorry.
Good.
He prefers the older than 18 patients, but he is wonderful with those littles as well. But
Awesome.
and then we have the neonatologist doctor we have. But so yeah, I think that's my biggest thing is just keep learning, keep striving, self-educate. There's so many things out there that you can do.
Good. Think you're gonna? Yeah, I know we talked about it. Think be at Wings yet for a while yet?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like
No
it?
plans of going anywhere. Oh yes, definitely. It is that adrenaline, that extra adrenaline, and that's that. Even my husband was watching a video the other day, and hearing the turbo engine start, it's just gets your heart
Right
beating a
on.
little faster.
Oh,
It's something
yeah.
you can't
Yeah.
get away from. Yeah.
Well, because even when we were down there the day, filming with Bailey and stuff, but I mean, it's cool. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like it flat out
It's cool.
from not being on it. I mean, in getting to ride it and stuff. I mean, yeah. Well, it's like somebody that's outside the fire service, and even you gotta say, even at 20 years on the job, when you get that 4-tab, what it comes in is for structure fire, working fire, whatever. And throwing on your gear and lights and sirens down the thing, and you're hearing like this is confirmed. It still gets you going.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
still like, it's still the greatest job. That's driving an engine, man. That's or driving a truck. That's I mean that's yeah. I mean
Don't get
yeah.
no better.
That's we get it.
Yeah.
And I mean it's just like that. Yeah. It's almost like it's in your soul.
It is.
You can't.
Oh yeah. I don't think I could ever do anything outside of the medical field.
go.
It's just in your blood,
Yeah. Yeah.
one way or the other.
Anything else? So we've kind of Ben always says this is kind of like our an archive almost for because it's going to be on the interwebs forever. So is there anything like for additional for your family, for your kids, or something that something that you want to leave for them, so to
course.
speak, or anything else you want to say say to them or about them?
Yes, just that I love you all very much. And to my husband, I would not be successful in my career with a family if it wasn't for him, like we had talked about earlier, in the line of work that he does, to then allow to take care of the family on the days that I'm working and gone for 24, 36 hours at a time, and then to make sure the house is still up and the kids are fed and alive and to school. And also, like during COVID, I'll never forget, but I sat down and had a conversation with him and said, I always said I put my family first, but I said we're in a pandemic and right now I really need to put my career first and help the people that I was. And he was very supportive. And while I worked, those 80, 90-hour weeks and so forth, he supported me through that, helping other people. So I'm very thankful for him and how he supported me in my career. And then just to my kids too. I know I miss Christmas sometimes. I miss holidays and performances and games and such, but I feel the balance is good still, that I make a good part of them. But thanks for understanding what Mom does for a living and being here for me and loving me still, and I hope I make you proud and that they make me very proud. So
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Awesome.
Are you?
Plus, Mom's got a cool job.
That's what
well,
it
yeah,
takes. That's what it
and they
takes,
got to
though.
go on a flight.
Yeah.
They have all been in the helicopter
Pretty
now,
understanding,
so
right?
yeah,
That's what it takes, though, right? A strong backbone at home.
it does.
That's-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep,
With all
and-
of us, that's the same thing, too.
Oh, I
yeah,
imagine.
For sure.
I think all medical first responders, any of those, you have to have that. And to my coworkers at the hospital and at Wings, I said we are a huge family, and everybody is so willing to, hey, I really have this that I'd like to do, and I've never been said no on a trade or switch if someone
Awesome.
could do it. So, I mean, we're all family, love each other, we know each other's kids and spouses, and it is just one huge family.
That's the way it should be.
It is. It's
I like
wonderful
that.
that,
That's
it is.
good that it is, yes.
Yes.
Very good. Well, your family extends out to us, too.
Oh,
So
well, yes, it does. I'm
anything you
excited.
guys need, let us know.
Yes.
We'll be here.
If you need us on the
We will.
side of the road.
Right?
Yeah.
I think our shortest flight ever was to Sergeant Bluff. We did a scene call to Sergeant Bluff.
Holy cow.
yeah,
Wow.
did
We're
a
gonna
scene
get
call
one
to
up
Sergeant
here.
Bluff and
Not even
back to
messing
Mercy.
around.
We're gonna do one at 8 someday.
Yeah.
Do a hop- do a hop in
and actually,
Riverside?
when you talk about in town, no, all our
Stone
states call one out to out on Fieldcrest or whatever out there and stuff. When that, so that wasn't in town.
Yeah.
Helicopter land, and
Right.
stuff, and it was in 8th district.
I could see, like, we should coordinate a little, like, training for multi-casualty
Yeah.
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
MCI kind of
So,
thing, and
yeah.
and or
That'd be a good thing
and
to
even
get with
like
you
when we
guys
talked
on.
about even just the scenarios of a farm accident or tractor rollover or something like that in Forest District, 8th District stuff. We have some
for
remote
sure.
areas and stuff where you get out there that somebody's
Talking
out in the
up by,
field
like,
a little
the
bit and
state
stuff,
park,
and
all
Yeah.
that.
I mean there's potential there that we just don't ever think of it because our ground transport's right there, but
Sure. But if we, like you
critically
said,
injured person or something like that, that we need-
Multi-casualty
yeah,
incident.
that
and
maybe the scenarios there that we could,
Yeah,
could possibly
need to-
fly them and stuff,
Yeah, and I mean, I like to extend to myself to too is like, we can bring that ICU to a bedside. We can bring that blood. Yes, you can go ground just probably as fast, but we can bring the
Yeah,
blood.
the
We
stuff
can bring
that you
the
can bring
yep,
to the
yes.
scene.
sure.
Yep.
Yep. And there's been times I remember one flight, another memorable one. It was a BLS squad with an MI, and James, Iowa, is like south of Hinton even.
Yeah, it's like just in between Sioux City and Hinton.
yeah,
Really?
and
It's
it was,
literally considered its own township.
Yeah.
Okay.
James.
Yeah.
That little section of houses and
Okay.
stuff
Yeah.
right in between.
Yeah. I
like
did
she
not
said
know
Hinton
that.
and
Yeah.
Sioux City.
Yeah.
And like the Kingsley Road.
Yeah.
It's like right.
C30
around-
but we landed on 75 there because it was a BLS squad, and we brought our STEMI medications and started the IV for the STEMI patient and went by ground because it was going to be faster into St. Luke's. So, I mean, we even do things like that. Like, you want our meds, we'll give them
Right.
the meds and just go by ground and stuff.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean,
Awesome.
we're there to help with anything that we can. But, yeah, like extended times. I know we've had just recently that accident on I-29 that we were on scene for 3 hours giving blood and while they extricate a patient, or I've been on numerous grain bin accidents where
Yeah.
they're entrapped for 2-3 hours and
Yeah. And you guys are just bringing
that's
the
incredible.
bringing the stuff. Yeah.
yep, bring the stuff and we'll transfer them after once they're extricated. But
Blood and bicarb. And
blood and bicarb is right, fluids, insulin, dextrose, we got all that stuff.
right on.
Awesome. Any Christmas plans? It's Christmas next week.
It is. I work at the hospital on Friday, wings on Saturday, and then so I'm off Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So just family
Nice.
stuff.
Very
deal.
good.
Yep, family stuff. We always stay the night at my in-laws' house Christmas Eve, play some games with all the cousins. The cousins spend all time together, and then
Fun.
all the family lunches on Christmas Day. Eat,
dude.
eat.
Mhm.
I got the menu from my grandma's for this coming weekend.
God.
Yeah.
I'm
There's a
10
menu?
pounds. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like she sends it out ahead of time,
Yep.
even.
Sends it in text, and it's, I'm not joking, that
Ready to
big.
go.
And my
In a text
sister
message.
funnily texts back and goes, "So I guess we're just supposed to starve?"
Yeah.
And she just goes, "Good one."
As Grandma
I'm
said,
putting
just
all
a
this
good one.
work into the meal planning and
Good one.
yeah.
What's favorite Christmas movie then?
Christmas Story.
Christmas.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Nice.
That's
That'll be on
that's our-
24/7 here pretty soon.
Yep, that's I think we or the Griswold Christmas is pretty good
Right?
too.
Yeah, that's
That's
talk
a
about that.
that's
Tough
a,
toss up
that's a
there.
toss up.
staples,
Yeah,
right? It's hard
Yeah.
it's hard to beat.
yeah. But yeah,
Either
we
one.
watch. It's a tradition. We watch the Christmas Story on repeat on Christmas Day.
Yep.
Ben's is Die Hard.
But,
Yeah, I do like Die Hard. I think we did this last year. I'm trying to think. I thought I might have said Christmas Vacation. They're all good. I like Christmas.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was right up there with Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was definitely top 3. I think for everybody here. And
Yeah.
stuff was that one. So that's good.
When I was a kid, it was I think Ernest. Ernest had a.
Oh,
Ernest
man.
Ernest Saves-
Oh
Ernest
yeah.
Saves Christmas.
That was probably when
That's
I was. I haven't
fantastic.
watched that in a long time, but that
Yeah.
was probably.
I watched that yesterday. It's so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's probably
It is a
up
good
there as
movie.
well.
Ernest.
Ernest
Saves
Saves
Christmas.
Ernest Goes to Camp was better though. But Ernest Scared Stupid, that one was terrible.
Oh
But
shit.
Ernest
remember
Goes to
that one.
Camp was
I remember Ernest
fantastic.
Goes to Camp, Ernest Saves
and Ernest Saves
Christmas.
Christmas.
Yeah.
I
If
watched
anybody like
Deck the Halls for the first time just the other day. I've never seen that one.
What one's that?
Danny
That's it.
DeVito.
Oh,
and
Danny
Broderick.
is that the Christmas light one?
Yeah.
Or the Christmas
Yeah,
lights?
okay.
That was pretty funny.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'll
Baker's
check
just
that
shaking
out.
his head. It's like, that's horrible. It's like Christmas with the Cranks was,
Yeah.
it's another one just thrown in there.
The original Santa Claus.
The original Santa
Tim
Claus.
Allen.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
a
Yes,
classic.
I
Yeah.
love that one.
I do too.
My wife is obsessed with that one. So
Yeah.
she's like trying to force our 2-year-old to watch it. She's like, "It's a good movie." He's just like not caring.
Not yet.
No Santa. No Santa.
No.
Just not wanting.
Just nothing.
Like I want to play football or something. I don't know.
He's too busy hanging
I
on
wanna play Play-Doh.
hanging on your counter like that. Dude, that dude's so strong. Oh
It's-
man, he's like he's
Let me
gonna be
make
pretty
something
soon. He's
perfectly
gonna be
clear.
like rock
I don't
climbing,
work
like-
out to be in shape for the job. I
Yeah.
work out so I can dominate him
Yeah.
eventually. in life.
Eventually,
So,
yeah,
like,
he's gonna be he's gonna be coming.
He's
after
gonna be
you.
a real problem.
Yes. Yeah.
Real.
He is already. Real.
Yeah.
So
I'm to that point with mine. They're 8 and 11 now, and I'm like, they might be able to take me here.
this can't happen.
They team up.
Oh, if they teamed up, I'd be in trouble.
Right? Oh no.
Anyone got
Then-
anything else?
No, but I think we were gonna take a break and let Ronnie go. We got department update and some other things we can talk about and stuff, but we don't
Alright.
need to. We can let Ronnie go. We've
Right
taken up
on.
quite a
Perfect.
bit
Yeah,
of our time and
thank you
stuff,
very
which
much.
is
Thank you.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yes,
Thank
thanks
you.
for
It's been
having
great,
us.
so-
Yes, come down to the base anytime.
Yeah.
Will do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take a little break
Yeah.
here.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
See ya.
Okay. No, let's get back on topic, I guess. All right. So fill us in, right? Department updates. We haven't done one since like June. It was May or June and stuff. I had to look back to find out and then sort through some. So just
Probably.
hitting,
Yeah, I thought
Probably.
Baker.
Hitting.
I thought Baker cut this segment.
no hitting. Yeah. Hitting highlights, just highlights, right? Lots of stuff that we had happen. Really, if you look at a recap, so I actually pulled Chief's recap from earlier this month, but he said a year ago, December, they started framing Station 8. So we'll talk about Station 8 a little bit. The 4 new engines were delivered.
Yeah.
Tower pilings were installed. So for the training tower that got done, we celebrated 8 original EMS division personnel with 5 years of service, the 8 original, Ben being one of them.
Yep.
You had, that takes us back 5 years to 2018. In 2018, in addition to the EMS starting, we also took on the River Response Boat Team, which was originally Coast Guard Auxiliary Unit, the MERD men kind of guys, and the dive team a few months later. So that was, that was going back 5 years. So a year ago, lots of stuff, right? We hosted in Sioux City, hosted Ragbri this summer.
Yeah.
So 50,000 people came to town. So that was a special response for us for as far as EMS and some stations. I know we hosted a team at 8s. I think 4s hosted a team, and I believe maybe 3s or 1s hosted teams.
1s, I think.
Yeah. So it was cool. So, last year was Sergeant Bluff, 25,000 people. There's a lot there. This year, 50,000 for Sioux City. So crazy. Residency restriction. We opened that up to, hopefully bring in support and some more people. So we went 30 miles now. Mm-hmm. So anybody looking to apply EMS or fire and stuff, understand 30 miles from city limits in all 3 states. So South Dakota, Nebraska, or Iowa. So that's kind of cool.
Come on down.
Next summer we'll take fire testing.
Yes, next summer and
this coming summer.
Well, this this will be a testing year this next year.
2024.
The old training trailers that were out here because of the new tower, those got moved down to Station 3 on the concrete pads over there now. So that's kind of nice for the
those have
probies.
been good.
Yeah, works good for you guys.
Yeah, especially on the heavy traffic training days where we got to stay in service. There's no way we can get down to the tower out of our districts because
well, it's kind of nice. You could do stuff like if you had the chapter, the essentials chapter on ladders, and then immediately go right
we got
back.
The 4th century doors. We got ladders.
And immediately go out back, throw some stuff on, throw some stuff. I mean, that's awesome. The department rig photo. It was 30 years since the last one. So the panoramic one that happened this summer.
I got an update on that too. So retired Captain Rich Anderson stopped in the other day.
Yeah.
And he had that photo with him, the original one from like 96.
Okay.
So we hung that up at 3s now. He gave it to us.
Nice.
So it's hanging in the hallway at 3s, the one that we basically recreated this last.
Well, we have it hanging at 8s in the TV room above the couch. Yep. So we'll get the new one and stuff. So 30 years. We also did it again. That was from one of the updates that we received the American Heart Association 2023 mission Lifeline Gold. Which has awarded recognized agencies that are committed to implementing a higher standard of care by ensuring that every STEMI patient receives treatment according to nationally accepted evidence-based guideline recommendations and standards. We also received the Target Heart Attack Honor Roll Award for working with hospitals and decreasing the time from first medical contact to PCI times. Great work. So getting people to cath lab and stuff. So really, statistically, and we have the stats, we have the numbers and stuff to prove it. So if you're going to have a heart attack anywhere,
it's a good place to have a heart attack.
This is a good place to have one. Remember that commercial like from years ago that was the Mercy, like they were talking about, so they were traveling or whatever, that they thank God we were in Sioux City. Well, like, I mean, because
for realsies.
But for real. I mean, we are a top-notch agency.
No cap.
As far as STEMI and
you wake up in Sioux City, you have a heart attack.
Pre-hospital cardiac care.
Hey, man. Part of the experience.
In August, we started Citizens Academy came back. So it was the first time since when COVID was a thing. And when that happened and stuff, we didn't have Citizens Academy. It was the first year coming back
Great group.
for Citizens Academy. So that was
really
kind of cool.
to see again.
Yeah, and it looked like a good turnout. It looked like everybody had a lot of stuff. So that's always documented real good on Facebook. George Lindblade comes down, takes lots of pictures and everything. So that's something to for people, also listeners, to keep that on your radar for next summer. I'm sure that's going to continue now with the Citizens Academy. The second retiree breakfast we had in September. We talked about the first one before, but that was the second retiree breakfast we had. So that was great turnout for that again too.
Nothing but good feedback from the retirees. So I really enjoyed that.
Yep, keeping it up with that. So I think that's going to continue with a couple times a year now. National Night Out, which happens every year. So the rigs are out doing National Night Out things. We had lieutenant and captain's test at the end of August. Social media intern that got hired didn't necessarily work out, but that's going to get posted again. So
huge achievement.
Yeah, so that's going to be it is a huge achievement for the department and everything. So that'll be that's going to be coming up here right after the first of the year and stuff. That's going to get posted again. So if anybody's interested in a social media internship,
Come on down. You get to see some cool stuff and hang out with our crew members and
yeah. Do some
work
really
side
cool
by
stuff.
side with us,
and
so.
learn a lot about the department, and it's going to look good on a resume if anybody's
Absolutely.
looking forward to
Yeah.
going into whether social media or film production or any of that kind of stuff. It's going to look really good on a resume to have that. What else we had? We had the Fallen Firefighters Award Ceremony in October. We do every year, which was a good turnout for both of those things. FTEP is a big thing for training. Chip, do you want to touch on FTEP at all? Because you went
Yeah.
through that, right?
I have nothing to do with it.
No,
It's
okay.
mostly the officers
Mostly
down at
the
threes
officers,
and EMS folks down at threes. That's just to get a better handle on mainly training new people medically,
Mhm. Yeah.
holding them to a certain standard for medical training down at threes. So just further going leaps and bounds ahead of where we were prior
Yeah.
for our probationary and our brand new EMS.
And it's just going to make a
probationary
better,
hires.
well-rounded,
yeah.
person
For
on
our
the
fire
street and
guys
everything and everybody.
go through it, and EMS people go through it.
Good. We had so hazmat and rescue technician level classes for six people went through that stuff. So that was a couple weeks training. We got a MERD grant for Lucas Devices. Was a big deal. So those there's more still coming on that, but we were able to secure a MERD grant for those. Of course, Fire Prevention Week, all the things. Movember.
Oh yeah.
The guy right here.
Benjamin.
Yeah.
I did some good campaigning this year. I had some support from mainly dead relatives on Facebook accounts that
Yeah.
I got passwords to.
Yep.
Pumped
They're
up
gonna
the,
have to investigate.
pumped
that
up
one.
the votes, and I don't know how I won. It was really
You don't have many
was poor.
friends, so I'm kind of wondering
Yeah.
how that happened. It had to have been family.
A lot of family. Mustache was poor. I can't grow a mustache. I thought I was happy with the photo.
I
Uncle
thought
Reed
you did a good
photos-
job.
Yeah, that was he
It was
came out. he was-
99% of the everything else.
Yeah,
Mustache.
it was a good photo shoot. I helped Ben out with that and stuff. So
Yeah.
he had the
Good.
concept, and we set it up, and it turned out really good. So Ben Moorhead, Movember champion, holds the belt for.
That's right.
Hold the belt for a year. We had live fire training with the new. We've been breaking in the new tower. It's your training tower. Live fire training has been excellent. Ship, you have been involved with that.
Been
doing that
nothing but
stuff.
good feedback, I think, from the department for
Yeah.
the most part. It's better than anything we've had before.
Yeah, I will say
So-
the burn plans when you guys,
Yeah.
doing all that
Yeah,
stuff
it's
and
just-
everything. I mean, and to see the instructors, you guys are working your
Baker's
you
through
know,
it now too, and
Yeah.
he's going to be helping a lot more coming up, and you'll just see the planning that goes into it. Just makes those days go super smooth.
Yeah.
There's a ton of planning that goes into it on the front end, but
Mhm.
we're
Yep.
doing it all according to NFPA now and 1403, and it's just been going great.
Yeah,
It makes
the,
the department just look that much and operate that much more smoothly. And
And it is. It's
professionally.
fantastic training the scenarios and everything, and everybody's working, and it's good. I mean, you guys do a great job.
I
That's
appreciate
been-
that. I
that's been
pass that
awesome.
on to the crew too.
Yeah,
It's-
I mean, really,
it's
it
good
is
stuff.
very. You could tell it's very organized. It's very put
Yeah.
together. It's very well
It's
done.
just
And I
fun.
can't-
It's
yeah.
fun. That's the stuff you want to do, right? Getting out, getting dirty,
Yep.
putting some water on some fire, and doing some searches.
Well,
that
and,
kind of
and with
thing.
with this tower, and to have actual fire, I mean, it's pallets and hay, but it's
Yeah, but
still
it's
like,
fire.
but it's
Yeah.
fire.
It's not
to
turn
find
right,
a fire. It's
turn left.
Yep. And I mean,
right
you still
there.
have to put it out. You have to find it. You have to search for it. You have to do all that stuff. So I mean, that's the tower itself is fantastic for that. But you guys do a great job. EMS new hires. We had 5. Is it 5 that we
Yeah.
had just started?
There's a whole
So,
room full of them down there.
yeah,
right now.
yeah. So a bunch of new EMS new hires and stuff. So EMS division, I think it'll be a little bit before they post again, but they'll be posting for especially for paramedics and stuff. So again, if you're a paramedic or interested in getting on the department and stuff, that look for those postings. That'll be coming up. We did have one promotion, and that was my brother-in-law. So Lieutenant Paul Johnson
yeah.
got promoted to lieutenant. So well deserved for him. SCFR, we're 149 years old on 10th of November. 149 years old as a city department.
Looking
Crazy,
as
man.
young as ever.
Yeah, and so next year's 150. And side note, do you guys know what else happened on 10th of November? Anybody? 1975? No?
Is that 5?
What? Baker knows? Yeah, the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. No? Gordon Lightfoot?
Was that the Great Lakes?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gordon Lightfoot
yeah.
wrote a song about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lightfoot.
10 November. Yep, that happened on that. So same day as the birth date of Sioux City Fire. So Other than that, I mean, we had a couple new probies got started and stuff at down at threes, and we had guys get off probation and stuff. But I mean, just a lot of and this is the things that we touched on here. This is just a few highlights. That's not with everything else that happens over the summer. With our commercial fire inspections, our regular training, and we had hazmat. We had a few different OREs that we did. We had the 71st in town for a big training. We had. Just everything goes on this department. Plus, running, we're going to probably have 12,000 responses or something this year and stuff. So, I mean, everything that goes on, plus, maintaining a high level of a response and professionalism and everything. I mean, this department's got a lot of things going on and stuff. So I think anybody that's looking for a job in the fire service, I mean, that's you really can't beat it. To come here and stuff and
the years only get shorter and shorter.
Yeah,
the more time we get on. So.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of stuff, kind of just a highlight. So the only other thing I kind of had we've maybe talked about, and Baker and I kind of talked about, because last year we did the kind of favorite Christmas movie, and it was kind of a discussion, just a tabletop thing. But how about best? What's the best present you ever remember as a kid, or best Christmas thing or something? Yeah, that's a tough one to get. That's a tough one to think about. The best, if you had to pick, this was my favorite Christmas present I ever got, kind of thing, or an experience or a day or something. I mean, what? Because I was even having a hard time trying to figure out.
I can remember getting my older brother and I got a Nintendo 64, and that was if I still turn that thing on, it's nostalgic because it reminds you of being a kid at Christmas and playing Super Mario 64. And even that was probably a dated system. That thing came out in ~97. I think we got one in 2003.
Yeah. Well, we still have.
My dad always bought the game console, the old one.
Yeah.
But that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I remember getting a hockey. My first pair of hockey skates were Christmas one year.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, I can't to think back. I mean, I can't really, right now I can say my favorite this sweater. That's
right
probably
up there,
my favorite. Yeah, that's probably my favorite thing right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I as a kid growing up, I mean, yeah, I can I don't know, my Walkman maybe I had, because that's why I remember asking for a Walkman for forever. I wanted the Walkman, and I wanted the Wayne's World soundtrack,
right
because
on.
of Bohemian Rhapsody, right?
Bohemian Rhapsody.
So
That's
instead of getting that, my parents, and I'll say, and whether it was mom's doing or dad's, but a Walkman, but they got me instead of Wayne's World, they got me Night at the Opera, which is what Bohemian Rhapsody is the album Bohemian Rhapsody was on. So that really opened my ears more to Queen in general, instead of just the one song. So what that did, is really, because that's, if you've never listened to the Night at the Opera, is a fantastic Queen album. Lots and lots of good songs on there. Really, really well done. So that, but being able to take that and listen to that, and then also pass that on to my daughter and her musical taste, and my son too. Both of them are the musical taste that they have is incredible. My kid Judd was in the top with his Spotify wrap up, the top 0.05% listeners of David Bowie.
Really?
Wow. He's a huge David Bowie guy. Yeah, huge Bowie guy. Jeez. And top 0.5%. And Remy, but then on the other spectrum, my daughter is in the top same percentage, top tenth of a percent listeners for Ghost. For the band Ghost.
Really?
Yeah. So they run the musical spectrum. Both of them do. But yeah, that's probably, if I had to think of it, it was Queen Night at the Opera, and then a Beach Boys tape. I was a huge fan of the Beach Boys. And stuff.
Okay.
My dad always had the oldies station on, which I say oldies now because my music now is the oldies for my kids, right? So I'd say the oldies station was 60s station, when growing up in the 80s, but 60s was oldies, but now
the 90s.
But yeah, so the Beach Boys was always a great thing. So
oldies.
I would probably have to say my Walkman with the Queen album and stuff was probably my best Christmas gift that I think I got, that I can remember. Yeah.
I don't know about a specific gift, but I always loved being at my grandparents' house because we had 3 families worth of people stuffed in a house, and it was chaos, but I loved it.
Yeah.
And it was the one time a year we would all get together, and I'd get to see my uncles and aunts and stuff, and it was So that might sound corny, but it was more the experience of that than
Yeah.
like a specific gift. I got tons of good gifts when I was a kid, but like more of the just getting together around Christmas was awesome.
Yeah, with
That
your
kind of
cousins and stuff.
Yeah,
like, 'cause,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
you only see them a couple times a
Yeah,
year
we'd
kind of
like
thing. And
have to go to a couple different houses, you know, when
Yep.
we were in Lamar's to see everyone, and
Yeah.
that was always cool. So
yeah.
probably more of that, but I don't know. My CD player when I was a kid was probably right up there for me because everything was switching over to CD at the time from tape, and that was just that's all I wanted.
Yeah, cassette
Music.
tape is.
I know.
You look at,
I was doing the whole like before I just had a radio and tape player. So I was like recording
yeah.
my own tapes from the radio stations
Yep.
from the songs I wanted to hear and
Yeah, that's
making
old.
my own mixtapes.
yeah.
But then I got the CD player and it was game over.
Oh yeah, and then when you could burn CDs,
Oh,
like
dude,
burn your own CDs
crazy.
and stuff and everything. Yeah.
So that was right up
I
there.
don't like the CD, like, and then you remember the mini disc when
Oh,
that
yeah.
came out?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
had
yeah.
one of the mini discs. With
Did
the
you
burners.
really?
Oh yeah, that thing. I actually, that compared to CD or even MP3s, the disc, but that burner was awesome. That mini
That's
disc player, that
crazy.
was so good. I love that thing. And then that just kind of, and then MP3s
Veered
came
around.
in, and now we
Yep.
got everything right here and Spotify and all everything else. So it's crazy, but yeah.
Rab? Your two front teeth?
Kind of along the lines of Ben, I got a Nintendo, the original Nintendo.
Yeah, dude.
So that was pretty big. And then a New England single shotgun. Right,
Oh, that's
those
cool.
two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So nothing too crazy. On the lines of tapes, though, my first cassette tapes were Guns N' Roses, Use Your Illusion 1 and 2.
Nice.
Great albums.
Yep.
Great.
First CD I had, Aerosmith Big Ones.
There you go.
Okay.
Nice.
Very cool.
Very good album.
You know, I got my dad. This wasn't that long ago. I was like 16, but I got my dad Hulk hands for Christmas one year, and he freaked out. He was like,
He turned into the
like,
Hulk?
he was like actually mad.
Hulk hands.
Yeah, that's all I got. I got Hulk hands. I thought I saw from Step Bros. I thought, oh, I gotta get my dad Hulk hands.
I would think waking up every Christmas morning with
He
Ben
was
as my
irate.
son
I
would
don't-
make me mad. No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
You know, I felt because I'm parents. They like got us all these really nice gifts, and I think my brother got my parents something nice. Both my brothers got my parents something nice, and then I'm like, well, here you go.
Yeah, but how old are you?
I was like 16 at the time.
So
I
he
was-
hated
yeah.
you to begin with, and
Yeah.
then you did something stupid
Exactly,
like that
you
because
know.
you're 16. It's like,
Exactly.
Hulk hands.
Yeah.
it was probably a
He's like, you got
suppressed something else, and the whole cans just was like the last
you,
straw.
this is what you wasted your money on. Like you could have gotten
Anything else?
anything. Yeah.
You could have got me like a case of motor oil. I would have been more happy than with Hulk hands.
It comes up every year now. It's a fun memory now. But at the time, oh, he was livid. It was so, I felt bad. I had like a new iPhone, I'm sure, that year, and a
Here's some Hulk hands,
spaceship and a car.
Which you inevitably ended up getting and playing with. I'm
yeah.
sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me and my brother, we used them.
I
and
got
then-
those for me.
And then then he had to return them, and I got my dad like a $22 gift card to Walmart on the return.
Oh my
Like,
god.
Merry Christmas, Dad. Yep.
Jesus. Yeah.
Man.
I got
Yeah, there was another year. We got just pounded with snow, and my mom was working at the hospital, so like she couldn't make it home, and we're like ready to do Christmas. Like, nope, you're gonna go shovel the driveway.
Oh, yeah.
So we shovel our driveway, and he's like, well, so and so down the street just called. I think we shoveled like 8 driveways that day, and then he kept the money. He kept all the money, and he was like, well, this is gonna be, you know, we're going to like for Christmas that year. I think we were going to Disney World, but not till like.
Oh, so you're
Next April.
complaining because you're going to Disney World
Yeah,
for Christmas,
but that's
and
what
you had to shovel a couple driveways.
He made us shovel like every driveway. Like these are all old people. It's
Your
Merrill.
dad's trying to pay for
Yeah,
Disney World.
so then that's
Poor
what
guy.
the money went to. He goes, well, the money's going towards vacation.
Oh, freaking jerk made us
Yeah, when you're
shovel.
like, when you're 12
We're
years
going to
old,
Disney
though.
World, by the way.
Yeah.
That's it. Just Disney World, not Universal too.
I'm
Alright.
gonna beat you with Hulk hands.
Oh, terrible.
We had to put a bag of hockey pucks on the tractor with the blower for my younger brother, so he could keep like, you know, he needs enough weight or
Yeah,
he'll die.
yeah.
Yeah. So he'd be sitting on hockey pucks like running the blower because that's what he liked doing. He didn't like doing the shoveling.
Of course he didn't.
Yep.
I'll bet.
Yep. I got a lot of good Christmas stories.
It sounds like it.
Another year, my dad.
I don't think we have enough time.
He made us take the wood pile. We used to have the old wood burner stove, and he put us like we had a sled. He's like, take all the wood, put in a sled, take it to the other side of the yard. I don't know what we did to piss him off. We restacked it, and he's like, all right, now go move it back.
That's a good dad.
Yeah,
that's a good
what
dad.
we did that on Christmas Eve one
These
year.
guys are dumb enough to do this. I'm gonna
Because-
make them warn out.
Yeah.
because we went to my grandma's or something and pissed them off. So that's when we got home, and that's what we did.
Nice.
Oh man.
Merry Christmas, Dad.
Yeah.
See you tomorrow.
And with that,
Yeah. You guys have a good Christmas, Ryan. Go and drop tones.